Welcome to another Harry. Today we bring you an unforgettable story. What if Loona's hellhound instincts detected Harry's fear and she adopted him as her little brother at age 7? Loving our content? Smash that like button and join our family by subscribing. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Now, let the story begin. Chapter 1, Hellhound Instincts. Harry Potter huddled in the darkness of his cupboard, trying to make himself as small as possible. His 7-year-old frame shook as he heard Uncle Vernon's heavy footsteps approaching. The day had gone wrong in every possible way. First, he'd accidentally turned his teacher's wig blue when she'd yelled at him for something Dudley did. Then Aunt Petunia had found out and locked him in the cupboard without lunch. Now Uncle Vernon was home, and Harry could tell from the thunderous footfalls that his uncle had been drinking. "Boy! Get out here now!" Vernon's meaty fist pounded on the cupboard door, making dust rain down on Harry's head. The lock clicked open. Harry hesitated, knowing what was coming but also knowing that delay would only make it worse. He crawled out, standing with his head bowed, green eyes fixed on his oversized, worn-out socks. "Your aunt tells me you've been doing your freakishness at school again," Vernon growled, his face already turning an alarming shade of purple. "What have we told you about drawing attention to yourself?" "I didn't mean to, Uncle Vernon," Harry whispered. "It just happened." "Things don't just happen," Vernon roared, spraying spittle. He grabbed Harry by his collar and lifted him until they were face to face. "You're just like your worthless parents. Freaks, the lot of you." Harry closed his eyes, bracing himself for what was coming next. Meanwhile, in an entirely different dimension, a white-furred hellhound with red scaras stomped through the streets of a posh London neighborhood, cursing under her breath as she checked her phone. "Fucking Blitzo and his stupid shortcuts," Loona muttered, texting furiously. "I told him the grimoire coordinates were off." Loona was supposed to be with the rest of the I.M.P team, immediate murder professionals, Hell's premier assassination service for the vengeful living. But something had gone wrong with their portal. Instead of landing together at their target's location, she'd been dumped in some random suburb while the rest of the team was God knows where. Her phone pinged with a message from Blitzo, "Sit tight loony. Fixing grimoire. We'll come get you soon." Zoxo, ugh. She rolled her eyes and shoved the phone back into her pocket. The neighborhood was quiet and identical, row after row of perfectly maintained houses with perfectly maintained lawns. The kind of place that made Loona's skin crawl with its forced normalcy. She pulled up her hoodie to hide her canine features, though in her full hellhound form, no amount of clothing could make her pass for human. "Better find somewhere to lay low," she muttered, scanning the street. "Last thing I need is some human calling animal control." As she walked, a strange feeling crept over her. An instinctual pull she'd never experienced before. Something primal in her hellhound DNA responding to, what? She stopped, ears perking up beneath her hood. Fear. Pure, concentrated fear. And not just any fear, a child's fear. Every hair on her body stood on end. "What the fuck?" she whispered, trying to shake off the sensation. But her body wouldn't let her ignore it. She turned toward the source, a house labeled number 4, Privet Drive, and found herself approaching before she even realized she was moving. The scent of terror grew stronger. For reasons Loona couldn't explain, it made her blood boil. Her claws extended involuntarily. Vernon's hand came down hard across Harry's face, sending the small boy sprawling against the hallway wall. "No dinner for a week. And you can forget about school until you learn to control your freakishness." Harry didn't cry out. He'd learned early that making noise only made things worse. He curled into himself, protecting his head with his thin arms. Vernon grabbed him by the arm, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "You're an ungrateful burden, boy. We took you in out of the goodness of our hearts, and this is how you repay us." Suddenly, a sound like splintering wood came from the front door. Vernon froze, his grip on Harry loosening slightly. "What in blazes?" the door didn't just open, it practically exploded inward, hinges screaming as it flew off its frame. Standing in the doorway was something straight out of a nightmare. A tall, humanoid wolf creature with glowing red eyes stood silhouetted against the evening light. Its lips pulled back to reveal razor-sharp teeth, and a growl emerged that made the pictures rattle on the walls. Vernon dropped Harry immediately, stumbling backward. What are you?" he stammered. The creature stepped into the light. It wore clothes, a torn crop top and shorts, but was covered in white fur with black spots. Its eyes locked onto Harry, then moved to Vernon, narrowing dangerously. "Were you just hitting that kid?" The monster's voice was surprisingly feminine, though distorted by a growl. Vernon found his courage, or perhaps his stupidity. "This is my house. Get out before I call the police." The creature moved so fast Harry barely saw it. One moment it was by the door, the next it had Vernon pinned against the wall, massive clawed hand around his throat. "I asked you a fucking question, fat ass." From the kitchen doorway, Aunt Petunia screamed. The wolf creature's ears flattened against its head at the sound, but it didn't release Vernon. Harry remained frozen on the floor, unable to comprehend what was happening. Was this death coming for him? Another freakish thing his relatives would blame him for? "Petunia. Call the police." Vernon choked out. The creature tightened its grip. "Try it, lady, and I'll rip his throat out before you finish dialing." Petunia froze, her face paper white. The wolf thing leaned in close to Vernon's face. "I'm going to ask one more time. Were you hitting that kid?" Vernon's face was turning blue. He managed a small nod. "That's what I thought." The creature dropped Vernon, who collapsed gasping to the floor. Then it turned to look at Harry. Harry pressed himself against the wall, terrified. But when the creature spoke to him, its voice was different. Softer. "Hey, kid. You okay?" Harry didn't answer, too shocked to form words. The creature, Harry was realizing, crouched down to his level, still keeping an eye on the adults. "Do they hurt you a lot?" Slowly, Harry nodded, not understanding why he was being honest with this monster. Something changed in her eyes, a flash of recognition, then rage, quickly controlled. "What's your name?" Harry," he whispered. "I'm Loona." She glanced at the Dursleys, who were huddled together in terror. "These people your parents?" Harry shook his head. "My aunt and uncle. My parents are dead." Luna's ears twitched. She seemed to be considering something, an internal debate playing out on her inhuman features. "Fuck it," she finally muttered. Then, to Harry, "Want to get out of here, kid?" Harry blinked, not comprehending. "I mean, do you want to leave? Not come back?" Hope and terror battled in Harry's chest. They say nobody else wants me." Luna's growl returned, making Harry flinch. "Sorry, not mad at you," she said quickly. "Look, I'm not exactly. I don't really do the whole caring thing. But I also don't beat up kids. So, wanna come with me instead of staying with these assholes?" "You can't take him." Petunia found her voice. "He has to stay here. It's for his protection." Loona laughed, the sound harsh and mocking. "Protection? Lady, you've got a weird fucking definition of protection, . She turned back to Harry. "What do you say, kid? I promise I won't hit you. Can't guarantee much else, but that much I can promise." Harry looked from Loona to the Dursleys and back. Every instinct told him to fear this creature, this monster who'd burst through their door. But she'd stopped Uncle Vernon. She'd asked if he was okay. No one had ever done that before. "Where would we go?" Harry asked softly. Loona hesitated. "Well, it's complicated. But somewhere your uncle can never find you." You freak. Vernon had regained enough breath to shout. I knew the boy would attract more freakishness. Just like his parents. Loona stood to her full height, which seemed even taller from Harry's perspective on the floor. Call me freak again, fatso. See what happens. Vernon shrank back. Loona returned her attention to Harry. Time's kinda ticking here, kid. Yes or no? Harry swallowed hard. He looked at the cupboard door, still open, revealing his pitiful room. He thought about the hunger, the loneliness, the constant fear. Then he looked at Loona, terrifying, yes, but the first person to ever stand up for him. Yes, he whispered. Then, more firmly, yes, please. Loona's expression did something complicated, surprise, followed by what might have been the ghost of a smile. Okay then. Grab anything you want to take. Make it quick. Harry didn't need to be told twice. He darted into his cupboard and grabbed the only possessions that mattered, a baby blanket with his initials and a broken toy soldier he'd salvaged from Dudley's trash. He stuffed them into his oversized pockets and emerged. That's it? Loona asked, eyebrows raised. Harry nodded. Something flashed in Loona's red eyes. Figures. She reached down and, before Harry could react, picked him up and settled him against her hip like he weighed nothing. Listen up, she snarled at the Dursleys. If you call the cops, tell anyone what happened, or try to find the kid, I'll come back. And next time, I won't be so nice. Got it? They nodded, petrified. Good. Loona turned and walked out the destroyed doorway, still carrying Harry. Outside, the evening had deepened toward night. Harry felt strangely calm in the monsters, in Loona's arms. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was just relief. So, full disclosure, Loona said as they walked down Privet Drive, I'm not from around here. Are you going to eat me? Harry couldn't help asking. Loona actually laughed. Fuck no, kid. I don't eat humans. Well, not usually. Not kids, definitely. She seemed to realize this wasn't reassuring. No, I'm not going to eat you. But where I'm taking you, it's not like here. It's going to be weird. Probably scary at first. Scarier than Uncle Vernon. Loona glanced down at him, her expression unreadable. Different scary. Look, I'm not good at explaining shit. But I think maybe you'll be safer with me than with them. Even considering where we're going. Harry didn't understand, but he nodded anyway. Loona pulled her phone from her pocket, checking messages one-handed while still carrying Harry. Blitzo's got the grimoire working again. We've got a way home. Who's Blitzo? My boss. Adopted father. Pain in my ass. All of the above. She typed a quick response with her clawed thumb. He's sending a portal. Should be opening right about. The air in front of them tore open, a swirling vortex of red energy crackling into existence. Harry gasped, clinging tighter to Loona. Now. She looked down at him. Last chance to back out, kid. Harry stared at the portal, then back at Privet Drive, then up at Loona's face. Despite her sharp teeth and glowing eyes, there was something in her expression he'd never seen directed at him before, concern. I want to go with you, he said, surprised by his own certainty. Loona nodded once. All right then. Hold on tight. She stepped through the portal, and Harry Potter left the human world behind. The sensation was like being squeezed through a very tight tube, then suddenly released. Harry kept his eyes tightly shut, face pressed against Loona's fur. We're here, she said. Slowly, Harry opened his eyes, and his world changed forever. They stood in what looked like an office, but the strangest office Harry had ever seen. The walls were red, decorated with posters of weapons and what looked like advertisements for killing people. A receptionist desk sat in one corner, stacked with papers and empty coffee cups. But what truly made Harry's jaw drop were the three figures staring at them in shock. The first was a tall, thin red-skinned creature with white spots around his eyes, small horns, and a pointed tail. Next to him stood a short, white-faced being with similar features but a more annoyed expression. And beside them, a female creature with the same red skin, black hair, and an enthusiastic grin that showed sharp teeth. "Loona," the tall one exclaimed. "You found your way back. And you brought a human child?" His expression shifted from joy to confusion. "What the fuck, Loona," the shorter male said. "Ah, he's adorable," the female creature cooed. Loona set Harry down but kept a protective hand on his shoulder. "Yeah, so, this is Harry. He's coming to live with us now." A moment of stunned silence followed. "I'm sorry, what?" the tall one shrieked. "You heard me, Blitzo," Loona said, a warning growl in her voice. "His guardians were abusing him. I took him." "Loona," the short one said carefully, "you can't just kidnap a human child and bring him to hell." Harry's knees nearly gave out. Hell," he whispered. Loona winced. "Yeah, about that, surprise." The female demon approached slowly, crouching to Harry's level. "Hi there, sweetie. I'm Millie. The grumpy one is my husband, Moxie, and the tall fella is Blitzo, the O is silent. And you've already met Loona." Harry stared at her, then at the others, then back to Loona. "This is hell. You're demons." "Well, I'm a hellhound," Loona corrected. "They're imps. Different thing." "But, am I dead?" Harry's voice trembled. No, nothing like that," Millie reassured quickly. "We can travel between worlds, see? Living humans sometimes visit hell. It's not common, but it happens." Blitzo approached cautiously, eyeing Harry like he might explode. "Loona, sweetie, can I talk to you? Privately?" Loona narrowed her eyes. "Whatever you want to say, you can say in front of the kid." "Fine." Blitzo threw up his hands. "What the actual fuck were you thinking? We can't keep a human child in hell. There are laws about this sort of thing. Stealing souls, kidnapping the living, it's paperwork I don't want to deal with." Harry shrunk back, but Loona's grip on his shoulder tightened reassuringly. "I wasn't thinking, okay?" Loona admitted. I felt his fear. Like, physically felt it. I've never experienced anything like it before. And then I saw that fat fuck hitting him, and something just snapped." Moxie stepped forward. "Wait, you felt his fear? What do you mean?" Loona shifted uncomfortably. "I don't know. It was like a hellhound thing, I guess. Like an instinct. I couldn't ignore it." Millie gasped, hands flying to her cheeks. "Oh my stars. Loony, do you know what this means?" "Clearly not," Loona deadpanned. "It's a protection bond." Millie explained excitedly. "It's super rare, but hellhounds can form them with younger beings in extreme danger. It's from the old days when hellhounds were used as guardians for demon nobility's children." Everyone stared at her. "What?" Millie pouted. "I read sometimes." Loona looked skeptical. "That can't be right. I don't bond with anything except maybe my phone and alcohol." "Actually," Moxie said thoughtfully, "that would explain why you acted so out of character. These bonds are supposedly irresistible once triggered." Harry looked up at Loona. "So, you're supposed to protect me?" Loona looked uncomfortable. "I wouldn't go that far, kid." "But you did protect me," Harry pointed out. "From Uncle Vernon." Blitzo was watching the exchange with growing interest. "Loona, do you actually care about this kid?" "I don't." Loona started to deny it automatically, then paused, looking down at Harry's hopeful face. "Fuck. Maybe. I don't know. I just know I couldn't leave him there. A slow grin spread across Blitzo's face. My little girl has feelings. This is amazing. I need to document this for posterity. He whipped out his phone. Put that away or I'll shove it somewhere the sun literally never shines, Loona growled. Harry couldn't help it, he giggled. The sound seemed to surprise everyone, including himself. Millie clutched her chest. Oh, he's precious. Moxie, can we keep him too? He's not a pet, Millie, Moxie sighed. And we still haven't addressed the enormous problem here. Humans can't just live in hell, especially not children. The environment alone is toxic without protection. Not to mention all the demons who'd love to get their hands on a human soul. Harry's brief moment of amusement vanished, replaced by fear. Loona noticed immediately. Hey, no one's touching you, okay? I'll rip apart anyone who tries. The ferocity in her voice was startling. Blitzo's expression softened. Wow. You really are serious about this, aren't you? I guess I am, Loona said, sounding surprised herself. Blitzo sighed dramatically. Well, we're fucked 6 ways to Sunday anyway, might as well add, harboring a human child, to our list of crimes. Kid can stay. Really? Harry and Loona said simultaneously. Sure. What's one more mouth to feed? Besides, Blitzo winked at Loona, if it makes my little loony happy, I'm on board. Don't call me that, Loona grumbled, but there was less heat in it than usual. Harry looked around at these strange, demonic faces and felt something he hadn't experienced in a long time, maybe ever, hope. So. I can really stay with you, he asked Loona. She looked down at him, her expression softening just slightly. Yeah, kid. You can stay. For the first time in his short, difficult life, Harry Potter felt like he might have found a place where he belonged. Meanwhile, in the headmaster's office at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, several silver instruments suddenly began emitting piercing shrieks. Albus Dumbledore, who had been reviewing student applications, bolted upright, his half-moon spectacles sliding down his nose. No, he whispered, rushing to the devices. It can't be. But the evidence was undeniable. The blood wards at Privet Drive had collapsed. The magical protection tied to Harry Potter's presence in his aunt's home had been broken. Dumbledore moved with a speed that belied his age, rushing to the fireplace and throwing in a handful of Flo powder. Arabella Fig, he called urgently. After a moment, the confused face of an elderly woman appeared in the flames. Albus? What on earth, Arabella, I need you to check on Harry Potter immediately. The wards have fallen. The squib's eyes widened with alarm. Of course, right away. As her face disappeared, Dumbledore summoned his Patronus, a magnificent phoenix. To Minerva McGonagall and Severus Snape, emergency meeting in my office immediately. Harry Potter may be in danger. The silvery phoenix soared through the castle walls to deliver his message. Dumbledore paced anxiously, his mind racing through possibilities, Death Eaters, dark magic, some failure in the ward structure itself. The fire flared green, and Minerva McGonagall stepped through, her normally composed features tight with worry. Albus, what's happened? The blood wards at Privet Drive have fallen, he explained grimly. I've sent Arabella to investigate. I warned you those muggles were the worst sort, Minerva said, her Scottish accent thickening with emotion. If they've harmed that boy, the fire flared again, admitting Severus Snape, his black robes swirling around him. What's the Potter brat done now? He asked immediately. Dumbledore explained the situation again, watching Severus's face carefully. Despite his animosity toward James Potter, Severus had sworn to protect Lily's son. Could the Dark Lord's followers have found him? Severus asked, his voice betraying no emotion. I've detected no dark magic, Dumbledore replied. But something catastrophic has happened to the protection. The fire turned green once more, and Arabella Figg's head appeared, her expression frantic. Albus! The Dursleys' front door has been ripped off its hinges. Vernon is raving about a monster, and Harry is nowhere to be found. The three wizards exchanged alarmed looks. Step back, Arabella. We're coming through, Dumbledore decided. Minutes later, the three professors stood in the Dursleys' living room. Vernon and Petunia huddled on the sofa, while Dudley peered around from the kitchen, munching nervously on a candy bar. What have you done with the boy? Minerva demanded without preamble. Us? Vernon spluttered. That thing took him. Dumbledore stepped forward, his normally twinkling eyes hard as flint. Explain. Now. Between terrified stammers, Vernon and Petunia described a monstrous wolf creature that had burst through their door, threatened them, and taken Harry willingly. He went with it. Petunia insisted. The ungrateful boy chose to leave with that monster. Minerva's lips thinned to a white line. And why, pray tell, would a child choose to leave with a monster rather than stay with his family? The Dursleys' shifty expressions told Dumbledore all he needed to know. His heart sank as he realized his terrible miscalculation in leaving Harry with these people. Severus, he said quietly, examine their memories. I need to know exactly what we're dealing with. As Snape performed legilimency on the reluctant Dursleys, Dumbledore closed his eyes, extending his magical senses. There was residual magic here, not just the broken blood wards, but something else. Something ancient and unfamiliar. Albus, Severus said after several tense minutes. The creature was real. Some sort of Hellhound, by the description. And the boy? Yes. Dumbledore prompted. He was living in a cupboard, Albus. They were starving and beating him. Minerva made a sound like an angry cat. I told you, Albus. I warned you they were the worst sort of muggles. Dumbledore felt every one of his many years weighing down upon him. I thought the blood protection worth the hardship. I was wrong. The creature, Severus continued, his voice clinically detached though his eyes betrayed his anger, seemed to be protecting Potter. It threatened the Dursleys specifically because of their treatment of the boy. A hellhound protecting a human child? Minerva shook her head in disbelief. That's unheard of. As is a child surviving the killing curse, Dumbledore reminded her. Harry Potter has never adhered to the expected. So what now? Minerva asked. How do we find him? Dumbledore looked gravely at his colleagues. I fear Harry Potter is no longer in our world at all. Back in Hell, Harry was getting a tour of the I.M.P. offices from an enthusiastic Millie, while Loona, Blitzo, and Moxie had a heated discussion in Blitzo's office. We're an assassination company, Loona. Moxie hissed. We kill people for a living. How exactly is that an appropriate environment for a child? Like you're an expert on child rearing, Loona shot back. More than you. You can barely keep yourself alive some days. Blitzo stepped between them. Children. Let's not fight in front of the new baby. He's not a baby, Loona growled. He's 7. That's practically a fetus in demon years, Blitzo waved dismissively. Look, I agree with both of you. This is a batshit insane situation, but since Loona's apparently got some mystical hellhound bond going on, we might as well make the best of it. Moxie pinched the bridge of his nose. And how exactly do we do that? Where is he going to sleep? What is he going to eat? Human food isn't exactly common down here. I'll figure it out, Loona said defensively. Oh, you'll figure it out. Moxie mimicked. Like you figured out how to care for that feral rat you brought home last year. The one that ended up nesting in my desk drawer and giving birth to 12 babies that ate all of my reports. That was different. You're right, the rat was actually supposed to live in this dimension. Blitzo clapped his hands. I have a solution. The kid can stay in Loona's room, what? Loona interrupted. Temporarily, Blitzo continued, while we convert the storage closet into a kid bedroom. We can order human food through our clients on Earth. And during work hours, he can hang out here at the office. You want to bring a human child on assassination jobs? Moxie asked incredulously. Of course not. We'll get him one of those child leashes, he's not a dog. Loona snapped. Says the dog demon, Moxie muttered. Loona flipped him off. Anyway, Blitzo continued loudly, we'll figure out the logistics. The point is, Loona's made a choice, and apparently some mystical Hellhound mojo is involved, so we're going to support her. Right, Moxie? Moxie sighed heavily. Fine. But when this inevitably blows up in our faces, remember I said, I told you so. The door opened, and Millie poked her head in. Y'all might want to come see this. They followed her back to the main office area, where Harry stood in the center of the room. Around him, several pencils, paper clips, and a stapler were floating in midair. I was just showing him around, Millie explained, and he got excited when I showed him my throwing knives, and then, this started happening. The four demons stared as the office supplies orbited Harry like tiny planets. Is that normal for humans? Blitzo whispered. No, Loona replied, equally quiet. No, it is not. Harry noticed them watching and, in his surprise, lost concentration. Everything clattered to the floor at once. I'm sorry, he said quickly, falling back into his defensive posture. I didn't mean to. It just happens sometimes. Loona approached him slowly. Hey, it's okay. You're not in trouble. Harry looked up cautiously. Really? Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon always said my freakishness needed to be punished. Well, they're not here, Loona said firmly. And around here, weird shit happens all the time. Right, guys? The other three demons nodded quickly. Besides, Blitzo added with a grin, that was pretty cool. Can you make other stuff float too? Harry blinked, unused to someone being interested in his abilities. Sometimes. When I'm really happy or really scared. I turned my teacher's wig blue once. Moxie and Blitzo exchanged glances. Kid's a witch, Moxie said. Wizard, Blitzo corrected. Witches are the ladies. Actually, witch is gender-neutral in most Hell taxonomies, Moxie argued. Guys, focus, Loona interrupted. So Harry's got magic. What does that mean for us? Millie bounced excitedly. It means he might actually do okay down here. Magic users have natural resistances to Hell's environmental effects. Plus, he can defend himself better than a regular human kid. Harry looked between them all, confused but also thrilled that no one was yelling at him for making things float. Can you teach me to control it? He asked hesitantly. Loona looked uncomfortable. Kid, we're demons, not wizards. But, maybe we can find someone who knows about this stuff. Blitzo snapped his fingers. I know who to ask. Remember that witch who hired us to kill her ex last year? The one who paid us in those weird potions that made Moxie grow antlers for a week? We are not contacting Azelphia. Moxie protested. I still have nightmares about those antlers. While they argued, Harry sidled closer to Loona. Are you sure it's okay that I'm here? He asked quietly. Loona looked down at him, her expression softening almost imperceptibly. Yeah, kid. It's okay. Weird as fuck, but okay. And you're not going to send me back? Something fierce flashed in Loona's eyes. No. Those assholes are never getting near you again. I promise. Harry didn't know why, but he believed her completely. Maybe it was the way her clawed hand rested protectively on his shoulder, or the growl that entered her voice when she mentioned the Desleys. Whatever it was, for the first time in his memory, Harry felt safe. His stomach chose that moment to growl loudly. Shit, when's the last time you ate? Loona asked. Harry shrugged. Yesterday breakfast. I didn't get lunch or dinner because I was being punished. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees as all 4 demons went very still. They starved you? Millie asked, her usually cheerful voice dangerously soft. Harry nodded, not understanding the tension in the room. That settles it, Blitzo declared. We're ordering every human food we can get our hands on. Moxie, call our Earth contacts. Already on it, Moxie said, phone in hand, previous objections apparently forgotten. Loona crouched down to Harry's eye level, which was still intimidating but less so than when she towered over him. Look, kid. Things work differently here, okay? We're literal demons, so we do a lot of fucked up shit. But we don't hurt kids, and we sure as hell don't starve them. Got it? Harry nodded solemnly. Good. Now, until Moxie gets the human food delivered, we've got some stuff that's safe for you to eat. It might taste weird, but it won't kill you. Thank you, Harry said sincerely. Loona looked almost embarrassed by his gratitude. Don't mention it. Seriously, don't. I have a reputation to maintain. As they moved toward the office kitchenette, Harry felt a bubble of something unfamiliar in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it as happiness. Hours later, after Harry had eaten more in one sitting than he could remember ever being allowed, Loona led him to her apartment above the I.M.P offices. It's a shithole, she warned as she unlocked the door, but it's my shithole. Harry stepped inside cautiously. The apartment was small and cluttered, clothes strewn about, empty bottles on surfaces, banned posters covering the walls. But to Harry, who'd spent his life in a cupboard, it looked like a palace. You live here by yourself? He asked, taking it all in. Yeah. Blitzo wanted me to keep living with him, but a girl needs her space, you know. Harry didn't know, but he nodded anyway. Bathrooms through there, Loona pointed. Kitchen's basically just a mini fridge and a microwave. And, I guess you'll sleep in my room for now. She led him to a bedroom dominated by a large unmade bed. More posters covered these walls, bands with names like traumatic brain injuries and the festering wounds. I'll take the couch, Loona said, gathering a pillow and blanket. Oh, I can sleep on the couch. Harry offered quickly. Or the floor. I'm used to small spaces. Loona's expression darkened. No fucking way, kid. You're taking the bed. Her tone left no room for argument, so Harry just nodded. Thank you. Loona rummaged through a drawer and pulled out a t-shirt. Here. You can sleep in this until we get you some real clothes. Harry took the shirt, black with the logo of something called Nightmare Fuel, and held it against himself. It came down past his knees. Bathroom's all yours if you want to clean up, Loona said. There's towels in there. Probably clean. Probably. Harry couldn't help asking. Loona shrugged. I don't exactly keep house like Martha fucking Stewart. Harry didn't know who that was, but he got the idea. I can help clean, he offered. I did all the cleaning at the Dursleys. Something that might have been anger flashed across Loona's face. Yeah, well, you don't have to do that shit here. This isn't a transaction, kid. You're not staying because you're useful. Then, why am I staying? Loona looked uncomfortable. Fuck if I know. That whole mystical Hellhound bond thing, I guess. Or maybe I just don't like seeing kids get knocked around. Doesn't matter. Point is, you're here now, and you don't have to earn your keep or whatever. Harry wasn't sure he understood, but the idea of not having to earn his right to exist was so foreign, so wonderful, that he couldn't help the smile that spread across his face. Go clean up, Loona said gruffly, clearly uncomfortable with his obvious gratitude. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow. After the first hot shower of his life, the Dursleys only ever let him have quick, cold ones. Harry changed into the oversized shirt and padded back to the bedroom. The shirt smelled like Loona, a mix of cigarettes, something metallic, and an underlying musky scent that wasn't unpleasant, just different. Strangely, the smell made him feel safe. He climbed into the bed, sinking into a mattress softer than anything he'd ever experienced. From the living room, he could hear Loona talking quietly on her phone, probably to Blitzo, based on the exasperated tone. Harry stared up at the ceiling, trying to process everything that had happened in the last few hours. He'd been taken from the only home he'd ever known by a hellhound, brought to literal hell, and now he was sleeping in a demon's bed. He should be terrified. He should be crying for home. But instead, all he felt was relief. For the first time in his life, no one was looking at him with disgust. No one was calling him a freak for things he couldn't control. No one was hitting him or starving him or locking him in a cupboard. Loona was scary, yes. But not to him. To him, she was safety. His eyes grew heavy, the day's events catching up with him. Just before sleep claimed him, he heard Loona's voice from the doorway. "Kid? You still awake?" Harry forced his eyes open. Loona stood awkwardly in the doorway, her silhouette outlined by the living room light behind her. "Just checking if you need anything. Water or whatever." "I'm okay," Harry murmured sleepily. Then, gathering his courage, "Loona. Thank you for taking me away from there." There was a long pause. Then, so quietly he almost missed it, "Yeah, well. That's what big sisters do, I guess." By the time the meaning of her words registered in Harry's tired brain, she was gone, the door left slightly ajar. But the warm feeling in his chest remained, following him into the most peaceful sleep he'd had in years. In the living room, Loona collapsed onto her couch, phone in hand. She pulled up her text conversation with Blitzo. "Loona, kid's asleep. Now what?" Blitzo's reply came almost immediately. "Blitzo, now you love him and nurture him and teach him the ways of hell. Grandpa Blitzy will help." Two hearts, two hearts, two hearts. Loona rolled her eyes. "Loona, be serious for once. Blitzo, I am. You are a big sister now. Embrace it. Also we need to figure out this magic thing. Could be useful for the company. Loona, we are not using him for the company. Blitzo, all protective loony. So cute. Camera with flash. Wish I could see your face right now." Loona growled and almost threw her phone across the room. But then another message came through. "Blitzo, SRSLY though. Proud of you, kid. Need someone. You are doing a good thing." Loona stared at the message, unsure how to respond. She wasn't used to doing good things. She wasn't used to being proud of herself. And she certainly wasn't used to the fierce protectiveness she felt toward the small human currently asleep in her bed. She typed and deleted several responses before settling on, "Loona, whatever. See you tomorrow." She put her phone down and stared at the ceiling, listening to the soft, steady breathing coming from her bedroom. Something fundamental had shifted in her world, and she had no idea what to do about it. "What the fuck have I gotten myself into?" she whispered to the empty room. But deep down, in a place she rarely acknowledged, she knew she wouldn't change what she'd done. Something about Harry called to her, his vulnerability, his quiet resilience, the way he'd endured years of abuse without becoming broken by it. He reminded her of herself, in a way. Before Blitzo had adopted her. Before she'd found a dysfunctional sort of family at I.M.P. Big sister, huh, she murmured, testing the words. It felt strange. Terrifying. But not wrong. With a sigh, she pulled her blanket over herself and closed her eyes, wondering what fresh chaos tomorrow would bring. Dumbledore stood in his office, surrounded by ancient texts. Minerva and Severus had reluctantly gone to bed after hours of research, but the old wizard continued his search. Around him, magical devices whirred and spun, all attempting to locate Harry Potter. "Hellhounds," Dumbledore muttered, turning a brittle page. "Guardians of the underworld. Hunters of souls." But protectors? He moved to another tome, this one bound in leather that had never come from any earthly animal. The pages glowed faintly as he carefully leafed through them. Ah, he exclaimed softly, finding what he sought. The custodial bond. The passage described a rare phenomenon: hellhounds, despite their fearsome reputation, could form protective bonds with young beings in extreme distress. The bond was involuntary, triggered by a combination of genuine need and compatible magical signatures. But for a hellhound to bond with a human child? Dumbledore mused. He read further, his expression growing grave. Once formed, the bond was nearly unbreakable. Any attempt to separate the hellhound from its charge would trigger extreme aggression. More concerning still, the bond created a magical connection similar to, but distinct from, the blood protection he had established at Privet Drive. Could it be? Dumbledore whispered. Has Lily's protection found a new vessel? If true, it would mean Harry was protected in hell, perhaps better protected than he had been with the Dursleys. But he was also entirely beyond Dumbledore's reach, beyond the carefully laid plans for the boy's future. The headmaster removed his spectacles, rubbing his tired eyes. "Oh, Harry," he sighed. "What am I to do now?" A soft trill came from Fawkes's perch. The phoenix regarded him with knowing eyes. "Yes, old friend," Dumbledore acknowledged. "Perhaps this is beyond my control. But I cannot simply abandon him to hell." He returned to his books with renewed determination. If Harry Potter was in hell, then Albus Dumbledore would find a way to reach him, even if it meant venturing into the underworld himself. Harry woke to the unfamiliar sensation of comfort. For a moment, he lay still, convinced he was dreaming. Then memories of the previous day came flooding back: Uncle Vernon's rage, the terrifying wolf creature, the portal to hell. Loona. He sat up cautiously, taking in the room in daylight. It was as messy as it had appeared last night, but somehow less intimidating. Sunlight, or whatever passed for sunlight in hell, filtered through partially closed blinds, casting red-tinted stripes across the bed. Harry slipped out from under the covers and padded to the door, still wearing Loona's enormous t-shirt. He peered into the living room. Loona was sprawled on the couch, one arm dangling to the floor, mouth open in a light snore. She looked less frightening in sleep, almost peaceful despite the sharp teeth visible between her parted lips. Not wanting to wake her, Harry tiptoed toward the kitchen area. His stomach was growling again, but he hesitated, old habits making him reluctant to take food without permission. A phone buzzed on the coffee table. Loona stirred, reached for it blindly, and knocked it to the floor instead. With a growl, she sat up, spotted Harry frozen in the kitchenette, and blinked blearily. "Time is it?" she muttered. Harry shrugged. "I don't know." "Morning." Loona squinted at her phone. "Fuck. We're late." She stood, stretching in a distinctly canine way. "You hungry, kid?" Harry nodded cautiously. "Yeah, me too. We'll grab something at the office. Blitzo always brings donuts on Tuesdays." She disappeared into the bathroom, leaving Harry standing awkwardly in the kitchen. After a few minutes, she emerged looking more alert, her white and black fur neatly brushed. "Here," she tossed him a bundle of fabric. "Blitzo dropped these off last night while you were asleep. Said they were some of his old shit from when he was a kid. Might be small on you, imps are built differently." Harry unfolded the clothes, a red t-shirt with a black skull design, black shorts, and even a pair of socks and underwear still in their packaging. "Thanks," he said, genuinely grateful to have clothes that might actually fit. "Whatever. Bathroom's all yours." 5 minutes, then we gotta go." Harry changed quickly, marveling at wearing clothes that weren't hand-me-downs from Dudley. The shirt was only slightly loose, and the shorts had a drawstring he could tighten. He emerged from the bathroom to find Loona by the door, tapping her foot impatiently. "Ready?" she asked. Harry nodded, then hesitated. "Loona? What happens now? She raised an eyebrow. Now we go to work. No, I mean, with me. What happens with me now? Loona sighed, crossing her arms. Look, kid. I don't know, okay? This whole situation is weird as fuck. But I meant what I said about not sending you back to those assholes. So I guess that means you're staying with me. We'll figure the rest out as we go. It wasn't exactly a heartwarming declaration, but to Harry, who'd never had anyone choose to keep him before, it was enough. Okay, he said simply. Loona studied him for a moment, then reached out and awkwardly patted his head. Let's go, Squirt. Before Blitzo eats all the good donuts. Harry followed her out the door, into his first full day in hell. Despite the strangeness, despite the literal demons surrounding him, despite the occasional bursts of flame from cracks in the sidewalk, he felt a bizarre sense of belonging. For the first time in his life, Harry Potter was exactly where he was supposed to be. Chapter 2, Learning Curves. 3 weeks into Harry's life in hell, and things had gotten interesting. Harry! Duck! Loona shouted. Harry dropped to the floor just as a fireball whizzed over his head, singeing a few hairs but otherwise missing him completely. He rolled behind the I.M.P reception desk as Loona grabbed the fire extinguisher. What did we learn? She asked, spraying down the smoldering wallpaper. Don't try to high-five a fire imp. Harry suggested, peeking out from his hiding spot. Good start. What else? Don't try to high-five a fire imp, while thinking about making things float. Loona nodded, satisfied. Exactly. Your weird magic reacts to your emotions and thoughts. Down here, that's way more dangerous than back on Earth. The door to Blitzo's office burst open, and the imp himself emerged, sunglasses pushed up on his forehead and a frantic expression on his face. What the fuck was that explosion? Minor magical incident, Loona explained, tossing the fire extinguisher aside. Kid accidentally amplified Flambe Fred's fire powers when he came to deliver the mail. Blitzo looked at the scorched wall, the scattered mail, some pieces still smoldering, and Harry's guilty face. Then he grinned. Awesome. Did anyone get that on video? No, Blitz, it wasn't awesome. Moxie emerged from behind Blitzo, clipboard in hand. It was the 4th magical incident this week, and it's only Wednesday. Last week it was the toilets exploding. Before that, it was all the weapons in the armory suddenly floating and rearranging themselves by color. Which was super helpful, actually, Millie chimed in, following her husband. I've been meaning to organize that closet for months. Harry crawled out from behind the desk, brushing ash from his clothes. In the weeks since Loona had brought him to hell, he'd accumulated an entire wardrobe, mostly gifts from Blitzo, who seemed determined to dress him like a tiny metal fan, and Millie, who had a surprising talent for sewing. Today he wore black jeans, with extra pockets added by Millie for emergency weapon storage, and a red t-shirt with I.M.P.'s logo. Around his wrist was a special bracelet Blitzo had commissioned, designed to help him blend in among demons. It didn't change his appearance, but it did mask his human scent and dampened hell's environmental effects on his body. Sorry about the wall, Harry said, genuinely contrite. And the mail. And everything. Loona's hand landed on his shoulder with surprising gentleness. Hey, accidents happen. You're still figuring shit out. Exactly. Blitzo agreed enthusiastically. You're doing great, kiddo. Most humans would have had 3 mental breakdowns and a heart attack by now, but you're adapting like a champ. Harry couldn't help smiling at the praise. The I.M.P crew had taken his presence in stride with surprising speed. Even Moxie, initially the most resistant, had warmed up to him, though he still complained about the magical mishaps. Speaking of figuring things out, Moxie said, checking his clipboard, the witch is scheduled to arrive in an hour. Harry perked up immediately. After the first few instances of accidental magic, Blitzo had indeed contacted Azelphia, the witch who'd once hired them. She'd been intrigued enough by the description of Harry's abilities to agree to evaluate him. Maybe she can help you stop setting our office on fire every other day, Moxie added, though his tone lacked real heat. I hope so, Harry agreed earnestly. The incidents were becoming more frequent, and sometimes more dangerous. Yesterday, he'd accidentally shattered all the windows when a particularly loud explosion from outside had startled him. Loona ruffled his perpetually messy hair. Come on, kid. Let's get you cleaned up before she arrives. You look like you crawled through a chimney. And I need everyone out of the office for the meeting with our new client. Blitzo announced. Very hush-hush, very high profile. Moxie, get the good whiskey. Millie, make sure all the weapons are hidden, not the decorative ones, those stay, just the ones with bloodstains. Loona, take Harry for ice cream or something. It's 10 a.m., Loona pointed out. It's hell, sweetheart. Time is an illusion and ice cream is an anytime food. Harry followed Loona to the bathroom, where she helped him wash the soot from his face and hair. He'd gotten used to her assistance, she was surprisingly gentle despite her sharp claws, and he secretly enjoyed the casual physical affection she'd begun showing more frequently. Who's Blitz meeting? He asked as she dabbed his forehead with a damp paper towel. No idea. Probably someone sketchy if he wants us all out of the office. She squinted at a spot she'd missed. Hold still, you've got ash right on your scar. Harry automatically reached up to touch the lightning bolt shape on his forehead. Loona? Can I ask you something? You just did, but sure, go for another. Do you ever regret bringing me here? Loona's hand paused. She looked at him seriously, red eyes meeting green. No. Not for a second. Why? You want to go back? No. Harry said quickly. Never. I know I cause a lot of trouble. With the magic and everything. Loona snorted. Kid, we're demons who murder humans for a living. Your little accidents are the least chaotic things that happen around here. She crouched to his eye level, something she'd started doing when she wanted him to really hear her. Besides, this place was boring as shit before you showed up. Harry grinned. Coming from Loona, that was practically a declaration of love. Now come on, she straightened up. Let's get ice cream before Blitzo's mysterious client shows up. When they returned to the office 2 hours later, stuffed with ice cream and carrying bags from an impromptu shopping trip, Loona had decided Harry needed proper hell fashion and bought him a studded leather jacket he could grow into. They found Blitzo pacing anxiously while Moxie and Millie whispered to each other by the weapons cabinet. Oh good, you're back. Blitzo exclaimed, rushing over. Change of plans. Azelfia's already here, and she's very interested in meeting Harry. As if summoned by her name, a tall, elegant demon emerged from Blitzo's office. She resembled an imp but with deep purple skin and elaborate curved horns that spiraled like a gazelle's. Her eyes were entirely silver, no pupils or whites, and she wore flowing black robes embroidered with strange symbols. Ah, the human child, she said, her voice surprisingly melodic. Come closer, little one. Let me see you. Harry glanced up at Loona, who nodded reassuringly but followed right behind him as he approached the witch. Azelfia circled him slowly, making thoughtful humming sounds. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. A human wizard child in hell, under a hellhound's protection. The universe does have a sense of humor. You can tell he's a wizard? Loona asked. Of course. His aura practically screams it. Azelfia bent to peer directly into Harry's eyes, so close he could smell her breath, surprisingly like cinnamon. And not just any wizard. There's old magic in you, child. Very old. And something else, something scarred. Her silver gaze moved to his forehead, to the lightning bolt scar. One long, clawed finger reached out to touch it. Don't, Loona growled, moving between them with surprising speed. Azelphia smiled, showing teeth as silver as her eyes. Protective, isn't she? The bond is strong. She straightened, addressing the room at large. I can help train the boy, teach him to control his magic. For a price, of course. What kind of price? Blitzo asked suspiciously. Because if it's another batch of those antler potions, Moxie's still in therapy from the last time. I am not. Moxie protested. You sleep with a nightlight shaped like anti-antler spray, Millie said gently. It's a comfort object. Azelphia laughed. Nothing so crude. In exchange for teaching the boy, I want access to study the Hellhound bond. It's exceedingly rare, especially with a human child. The magical theory alone is worth a fortune in certain circles. Loona's eyes narrowed. You're not experimenting on either of us. No experiments, Azelphia assured her. Merely observations, measurements, perhaps the occasional harmless test. I assure you, my interest is purely academic. Harry, who had remained silent during this exchange, finally spoke up. Can you really help me control it? The magic? Azelphia's expression softened marginally. Yes, child. You have great potential, but it's wild, untamed. Like trying to direct a river with your bare hands. I can teach you to build proper channels for it. Harry looked up at Loona. In the weeks he'd been in hell, he'd learned to read her expressions better than anyone else's. Right now, she was suspicious but considering. What do you think? He asked her. Loona seemed surprised by the question, as though she wasn't used to her opinion mattering. I think, we need to do something before you accidentally blow up the whole building. But I don't trust her, she nodded toward Azelphia, as far as I could throw her. You could throw me quite far with those muscles, dear, Azelphia commented dryly. If Harry's going to learn magic, Loona continued, ignoring the interruption, I'm staying with him during the lessons. I wouldn't have it any other way, Azelphia smiled. The bond works better when you're together anyway. Blitzo clapped his hands. Great. It's settled. Harry gets magic lessons, Azelphia gets to do her weird research, and hopefully our insurance premiums stop going up from all the magical property damage. I have conditions, Azelphia added, raising one slender finger. The training happens here, in your office. I'll need a dedicated space, preferably that storage room you're not using. We were going to make that Harry's room, Blitzo objected. It can serve both purposes. I'll enchant it myself, expandable space, proper magical insulation, the works. She raised a second finger. I'll need complete honesty. If the boy experiences any unusual magical manifestations, I must be informed immediately. A third finger joined the others. And finally, you must all agree to protect my involvement from certain, interested parties. What interested parties? Moxie asked suspiciously. Azelphia's silver eyes gleamed. Let's just say that a human wizard child in hell would attract attention from individuals in both realms. Individuals who might not have the child's best interests at heart. I prefer to avoid such entanglements. Loona's arm moved protectively around Harry's shoulders. Anyone who wants to get to him has to go through me first. And me. Blitzo declared dramatically, striking a pose. And us, Millie added, Moxie nodding beside her. Azelphia looked around at them all, seeming both amused and impressed. A human child with a demon family. How delightfully unorthodox. She turned to Harry. We begin tomorrow, young wizard. Wear comfortable clothing and eat a hearty breakfast. Magic training requires energy. With that, she swept toward the door, robes billowing impressively. Just before exiting, she paused and looked back. Oh, and one more thing. You might want to disguise that scar, child. It's rather distinctive. The door closed behind her, leaving a puzzled silence in her wake. What did she mean by that? Harry asked, hand moving instinctively to his forehead. Blitzo, Moxie, and Millie exchanged glances. "About that," Blitzo said, suddenly looking uncomfortable. "My mysterious client today kind of had some interesting information about human wizards. Specifically, a certain human wizard with a lightning scar who supposedly vanished recently." Harry's eyes widened. "Someone's looking for me?" "Not just someone," Moxie clarified. "Apparently, you're kind of a big deal in the wizard world. Something about defeating a Dark Lord as a baby?" What?" Harry stammered. "Maybe we should sit down for this," Millie suggested gently. They moved to the break room, where Harry sat between Loona and Blitzo at the small table. Moxie pulled out a notepad where he'd apparently taken detailed notes during the meeting. "According to our client," he began, consulting his notes, "Harry Potter, that's you, is famous in the wizarding world for surviving a killing curse from a dark wizard named Voldemort. Is that how you pronounce it?" "Sounds French," Millie commented. "Anyway," Moxie continued, "this dark wizard killed your parents when you were a baby, then tried to kill you, but somehow the spell rebounded and hit him instead. You survived with just the scar, and he was destroyed. That made you famous. They apparently call you the boy who lived." Harry sat in stunned silence. All his life, the Dursleys had told him his parents died in a car crash. That they were worthless drunks. That he was a burden no one wanted. "My parents were murdered," he finally whispered. Luna's hand found his under the table, squeezing gently. "I'm sorry, kiddo," Blitzo said, uncharacteristically gentle. "That's rough stuff to hear." "There's more," Moxie said hesitantly. "After you disappeared from your relative's home, apparently the whole wizarding world went into a panic. There's a massive search underway. The client said some powerful wizard named Dumbledore is leading it. And here's the kicker," Blitzo added. "Not everyone looking for you has good intentions. Some of this Voltiguy's old followers think you'd make a nice revenge trophy." Harry felt sick. All these years, he'd had no idea. No idea about his parents, about magic, about any of it. And now people were hunting for him, some to rescue him, others to hurt him. "They can't find me here, right?" he asked, voice small. "Hell isn't exactly on most humans' radar," Blitzo assured him. "And even if they figured out you're here, they'd have to find a way across dimensions, which isn't easy without a grimoire like ours. Plus," Millie added cheerfully, "anyone who did manage to get here would have to deal with us. And that's assuming I left enough of them to deal with," Loona growled, her grip on Harry's hand tightening. Harry looked around at all of them, these demons who'd taken him in, protected him, cared for him. Who were now promising to keep him safe from threats both human and magical. "Thanks," he said simply, but with feeling. "Don't mention it, kid," Loona replied, bumping his shoulder with hers. "Like it or not, you're one of us now. And we protect our own." The next day, Harry stood nervously in what had once been a storage closet but was now something else entirely. The room stretched at least 50 feet in each direction, with a domed ceiling covered in glowing symbols. The walls were lined with bookshelves, and the floor was covered in thick, plush carpet with more symbols woven into the pattern. "Bigger on the inside," Azelphia explained, noting his amazement. "A simple space expansion charm, though maintaining it in Hell's environment requires some modifications." Loona stood beside him, trying to look bored but clearly just as impressed. "So what now? You teach him to pull rabbits out of hats or something?" Azelphia smiled thinly. "Not quite. First, we need to understand what we're working with." She turned to Harry. "Has your magic always manifested accidentally? Or have you ever done something magical on purpose?" Harry thought about it. "Mostly accidents. When I'm scared or angry or really happy. But..." He hesitated, then admitted, "Sometimes, if I concentrate really hard on something happening, it does. Like when I needed to get away from Dudley, my cousin, I wished I was somewhere else, and suddenly I was on the school roof. Teleportation, Azelphia murmured, looking impressed. At your age, with no training. Interesting. She clapped her hands together. Let's start with something simple. Controlled levitation. She placed a small feather on the floor in front of Harry. I want you to focus on making this float. Don't try too hard, magic responds better to clear intent than brute force. Harry stared at the feather, intensely aware of Loona watching. He wanted so badly to get this right, to show her he could control his abilities. He concentrated, imagining the feather rising. Instead, every object in the room smaller than a bread box suddenly shot toward the ceiling, including Azelphia's jewelry, several books, and the contents of Loona's pockets. Shit! Loona yelped as her phone, keys, and wallet zoomed upward. Interesting, Azelphia commented, watching her necklace hover near the ceiling. Your intent was correct, but your focus was too broad. She waved a hand, and everything gently floated back down. Try again, but this time, really see only the feather. Nothing else exists. Harry took a deep breath, narrowing his vision until the feather was the only thing in his world. He imagined it floating, just a few inches off the ground. The feather twitched, then slowly, shakily rose about 6 inches before dropping back to the carpet. I did it! Harry exclaimed, then looked embarrassed at his own enthusiasm. Well done, Azelphia said, actually sounding pleased. Again, but higher this time. They practiced for hours. By the end, Harry could reliably make the feather float to any height he wanted, though keeping it stable was still challenging. He could also move it in simple patterns, circles, squares, back and forth. Excellent progress, Azelphia declared as they finished. You have remarkable natural talent. Most children your age, even with proper wizarding education, couldn't manage this level of control so quickly. Harry beamed at the praise. Beside him, Loona looked both impressed and proud, though she tried to hide it. What about defensive magic? She asked Azelphia. Kid needs to be able to protect himself. All in good time, Azelphia assured her. First, he needs the basics. But yes, defensive magic will be part of the curriculum. Speaking of which. She turned to Harry. I have something for you. From her robes, she produced a long, polished stick. No, not a stick, Harry realized. A wand. This isn't a perfect match for you, she explained, holding it out. A properly matched wand would need to be crafted specifically for your magical signature. But this should help channel your magic more effectively than raw willpower alone. Harry took it hesitantly. The wood was warm to the touch, and he felt a faint tingling in his fingers. Beechwood with a core of sphinx hair, Azelphia said. Flexible, good for transfiguration and charms. Give it a try, the same levitation exercise. Harry pointed the wand at the feather, focusing his intent. This time, the feather rose smoothly, without the shaking from before, and hovered steadily at eye level. Whoa, he breathed. The wand channels and focuses your natural ability, Azelphia explained. Think of it like, turning a floodlight into a laser beam. Can I try something else? Harry asked eagerly. Azelphia smiled, seeming genuinely pleased by his enthusiasm. Try this. She demonstrated a simple motion. Flick the wand while thinking about creating light. Harry copied the movement, concentrating. The tip of his wand glowed softly, then grew brighter until it illuminated the room like a flashlight. Hot damn, Loona murmured. That's actually pretty useful. For the next half hour, Azelphia showed him several simple spells, how to extinguish the light, how to make objects come to him, though this one was hit or miss, and how to create a small shower of harmless sparks. That's enough for today, she finally said. Magic is like a muscle, overuse it before it's properly developed, and you risk strain or injury. Harry reluctantly lowered the wand, already feeling a deep attachment to it. Can I keep practicing? Absolutely, but start small. And only practice the spells I've shown you. She fixed him with a stern look. Magic can be dangerous when misused, especially here in Hell where the ambient energy tends to amplify things. I'll make sure he doesn't blow anything up, Loona promised, though she sounded slightly disappointed by this restriction on potential chaos. As they prepared to leave, Azelphia pulled Loona aside while Harry experimented with making his wand light change colors. The boy has extraordinary potential, she said quietly. More than I initially estimated. His magical core is unusually developed for a child his age. Is that good or bad? Loona asked, eyes still on Harry. Both. It means he'll learn quickly, adapt to Hell's environment better than most humans. But it also means he'll draw attention. Magical energy like his doesn't go unnoticed for long. Azelphia's silver eyes gleamed with warning. You should be prepared for visitors. Loona's claws extended slightly. Let them come. Over the next few weeks, Harry's training intensified. Azelphia visited 3 times a week, teaching him increasingly complex spells and magical theory. The storage room turned magical classroom became Harry's favorite place, though he also enjoyed the practical defense lessons Millie had started giving him. Remember, she instructed, circling him in the I.M.P armory, you're small, which means you're a harder target to hit. Use that. Harry ducked and rolled as she swung a padded training staff at him, coming up in the perfect position to jab at her knees with his own smaller staff, a move she'd taught him the day before. Good, she praised, dancing away from his strike. Now, what if I do this? She feinted left, then swung from the right. Harry couldn't dodge in time, but he brought up his staff in a defensive position, absorbing some of the impact. Decent block, but your stance was off, Moxie called from where he observed against the wall. Remember to keep your weight centered. Harry adjusted quickly, finding his balance again. These lessons had become a daily routine, combat training with Millie and Moxie in the morning, regular work around the office helping Loona with filing, and learning some colorful new vocabulary in the process, then magical lessons with Azelphia in the afternoon. The I.M.P team never took Harry on actual assassination jobs, but they did include him in planning sessions, letting him watch as they mapped out strategies and prepared equipment. Blitzo had even started teaching him to shoot, using a small pistol loaded with paintballs instead of real bullets. Every demon should know how to handle a firearm, Blitzo had declared. He's not a demon, Loona had pointed out. Honorary demon. Blitzo had amended, presenting Harry with an I.M.P baseball cap that he now wore proudly during target practice. Life fell into a rhythm that felt normal. Or at least, as normal as life could be when you were a human wizard child living in Hell with a Hellhound and a team of assassin imps. Harry's magical accidents decreased as his training progressed, though they still happened occasionally, like the time he accidentally turned all of Moxie's weapons pink when the imp criticized his targeting technique, or when he made it rain inside the office after having a nightmare about Uncle Vernon. But for each incident, his control improved. And with each improvement, his confidence grew. One evening, about 2 months after his arrival in Hell, Harry sat on the couch in Loona's apartment, practicing a charm to repair a deliberately broken mug while Loona scrolled through her phone beside him. Reparo, he said, flicking his wand. The mug's pieces shuddered but didn't quite reunite. You're overthinking it, Loona commented, not looking up from her phone. Harry tried again, relaxing his grip slightly. Reparo. This time, the pieces flew together seamlessly, the mug reassembling as if it had never been broken. Told you, Loona said, the corner of her mouth quirking up in a small smile. Harry set the mug down carefully, then glanced at Loona. Can I ask you something? If it's about where babies come from, that's Blitzo's department. No. Gross. Harry made a face. I was wondering, do you think people are still looking for me? On Earth, I mean. Loona set her phone down, giving him her full attention, a rare occurrence that signaled she was taking his question seriously. Probably. From what we've heard, you're kind of a big deal up there. Do you think they'll ever find me? Loona considered this. Maybe. Eventually. Determined humans have made it to hell before, though it's not exactly a common tourist destination. She studied his expression. Why? You thinking about going back? No, Harry said quickly. I like it here. With you guys. With you. He hesitated. But sometimes I wonder, about the wizard world. About who I might have been if I'd known about it sooner. Loona was quiet for a moment, then said, Look, kid, I'm not going to pretend I understand all this wizard shit. But I know this, you get to decide who you are, no matter what anyone else planned for you. If someday you want to explore that other life, I won't stop you. But. Harry prompted when she trailed off. But you've always got a place here, she finished, looking slightly embarrassed by the sentiment. With me. With all of us weirdos. Harry smiled, a warm feeling spreading through his chest. Thanks, Loona. Whatever. Don't make it weird. She ruffled his hair, which had grown longer during his time in hell. Now show me that color-changing spell again. I want to turn Blitzo's office supplies neon pink without him knowing it was me. Harry laughed and raised his wand, happy to assist in Loona's mischief. As he cast the spell on a pen for practice, he realized something important. For the first time in his life, he felt like he belonged somewhere. Not just tolerated or endured, but genuinely wanted. It was a good feeling. In a darkened chamber deep within Hell's ninth circle, a tall, skeletal figure sat upon a throne made of twisted metal and bone. His skin was ash-gray, stretched tight over an angular face with eyes like burning coals. Around him, lesser demons knelt in fearful reverence. Are you certain of this information? He asked, his voice like grinding stone. The demon before him, a nervous, bat-winged creature with too many eyes, bobbed its head frantically. Yes, Lord Mephistos. Multiple sources confirm it. A human child with extraordinary magical abilities resides in the Pride Ring, under the protection of the assassin group known as I.M.P. A human wizard child, Mephistos mused, tapping long, black claws against his throne's armrest. In hell. How, unprecedented. There's more, my lord, the informant continued. The child bears a distinctive scar, a lightning bolt on his forehead. According to our sources in the living world, he matches the description of a missing wizard child of significant importance. The humans call him the boy who lived. Mephistos's burning eyes widened slightly. The child who vanquished the dark wizard Voldemort. Here, in my realm. He laughed, a sound like breaking glass. How delicious. The magical potential in such a child, the power that could be harvested. He is heavily protected, the informant warned. Not only by I.M.P, but particularly by a Hellhound who seems to have formed a custodial bond with him. A custodial bond? Between a Hellhound and a human? Mephistos's expression sharpened with interest. Even more valuable. Such a bond creates unique magical conduits, channels of power that could be repurposed. He rose from his throne, towering over his minions. Observe for now. Learn the child's routines, his abilities, his weaknesses. I want to know everything about him and his protectors. The informant bowed lower. And then, my lord. Mephistos smiled, revealing teeth like obsidian shards. And then we shall acquire our young wizard. One way or another. Back in the human world, Albus Dumbledore stood in the center of a complex magical circle, surrounded by members of the Order of the Phoenix. Candles burned at strategic points around the room, their flames an unnatural blue. Are you certain this will work, Albus? Minerva McGonagall asked, concern etched on her face. As certain as one can be when attempting experimental interdimensional magic, Dumbledore replied, adjusting his half-moon spectacles. The locator spell confirmed what we suspected, Harry Potter is indeed in hell. Severus Snape, standing opposite Dumbledore in the circle, sneered. Of course Potter would manage to find his way to literal hell before even starting his magical education. Just like his father, exceptional talent for causing trouble. Now is not the time, Severus, Dumbledore chided gently. We need absolute concentration for this working. Besides the three of them, 4 other order members completed the circle: Alastor, Mad-Eye Moody, his magical eye spinning wildly, Remus Lupin, looking more haggard than usual with the full moon approaching, Nymphadora Tonks, her currently blue hair providing extra light in the dim room, and Bill Weasley, whose curse-breaking expertise had been crucial in designing the ritual. Remember, Bill instructed, this won't create a permanent portal. At best, we'll get a temporary viewing window, a chance to see Harry, maybe communicate briefly. Actually retrieving him will require a much more complex ritual. Which we will perform, Dumbledore said firmly, once we confirm his location and circumstances. Are we ready? The others nodded, raising their wands. As one, they began to chant, their voices weaving together in an ancient language that seemed to distort the air around them. The candles flared higher, their blue flames stretching toward the ceiling. In the center of the circle, the air began to ripple, like the surface of a pond disturbed by a stone. It's working, Bill murmured, not breaking his chant. The ripple expanded, thinning until it became transparent, a window looking into somewhere else. Through it, they could see what appeared to be an office with red walls and strange posters. At a desk sat a white-furred, canine creature, filing her claws and looking bored. A hellhound, Moody growled. Just like the Dursleys described. Dumbledore stepped closer to the viewing portal, careful not to touch it. We must be cautious. If this is indeed the creature that took Harry, any aggressive action could. The hellhound suddenly looked up, her red eyes narrowing as she stared directly at the portal. She couldn't possibly see them, Dumbledore thought, until she spoke. I can fucking see you, creepers, she said flatly. Whatever kind of peeping Tom magic you're using, it's not as subtle as you think. The order members exchanged startled glances but maintained their spell. We mean no harm, Dumbledore called through the portal. We are searching for Harry Potter, a young boy who, yeah, I figured, the hellhound interrupted, standing up. Let me guess, robes, wands, superiority complexes, you must be the wizards Blitzo told us about. Us? Minerva questioned. As if in answer, a door opened in the office beyond the portal, and a small figure entered, a boy with unruly black hair, round glasses, and a lightning bolt scar partially covered by his bangs. Harry, Remus breathed, his voice thick with emotion. The boy froze when he saw the portal, eyes widening behind his glasses, new ones, Dumbledore noted, not the broken pair he'd worn at the Dursleys. Loona? Harry said uncertainly. What's that? The hellhound, Loona, apparently, moved to stand slightly in front of Harry, one clawed hand resting protectively on his shoulder. Looks like your wizard fan club finally found a way to peek in on you. Harry stared at the portal, his expression a complex mixture of curiosity, wariness, and something else, defiance. Harry, Dumbledore called gently. My name is Albus Dumbledore. I was a friend of your parents. We've been very worried about you. Harry's eyes narrowed. You knew my parents? Then why did you leave me with the Dursleys? They hated me. They hated magic. The directness of the question caught Dumbledore off guard. Before he could formulate a response, Severus spoke. Potter, this is ridiculous. You can't possibly prefer the company of demons to your own kind. Whatever this creature has told you, her name is Loona, Harry interrupted, a flash of anger in his green eyes. And she saved me. She's my family now. Damn right, Loona growled, baring impressive fangs at the portal. Dumbledore raised a placating hand. Harry, we understand you may have formed an attachment to your rescuer. But hell is no place for a human child, especially one with your magical potential. Please, let us help you return to where you belong. I belong here, Harry said firmly. Then, with more uncertainty, at least for now. Before Dumbledore could respond, two new figures entered the room, small, red-skinned demons with horns and tails. "Loony, have you seen my holy shit, what is that?" the taller one shouted, pointing at the portal. "Wizards," Loona explained tersely. "Spying on us." "Ooh." The shorter, female demon approached the portal with fascination. "Hi there. I'm Millie. Are y'all Harry's wizard friends? He's doing real well with his magic lessons. Just yesterday he turned all my throwing knives into butterflies." She paused. "It was adorable but also inconvenient, 'cause I needed those for work." "Magic lessons?" Minerva repeated, looking both concerned and slightly impressed. "Who is teaching him?" "None of your business," Loona snapped. "Look, I don't know how long your little peep-show window stays open, but you should know this: Harry stays with us until he decides otherwise. Try to take him, and you'll see exactly why hellhounds have the reputation we do." Dumbledore studied the scene carefully. Harry didn't appear injured or frightened. In fact, he looked healthier than when Dumbledore had last checked on him at the Dursleys, better fed, better dressed, and standing with more confidence. The Hellhound's protectiveness seemed genuine, as did the friendly demeanor of the other demons. Most surprising of all, the magical aura around Harry was stronger than it should have been for a child his age, suggesting his magical development was not being hindered but perhaps even accelerated. "Harry," Dumbledore said carefully, "I made a grave mistake in placing you with your relatives. For that, I sincerely apologize. But there are matters you don't yet understand: your place in our world, your heritage, even the reason behind your parents' murder." Harry hesitated, and Dumbledore saw a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. "Maybe I don't understand everything," Harry admitted. "But I know I'm learning. About magic, about myself. And I know I'm safe here, with Loona and Blitzo and everyone." "Safe?" Snape scoffed. "In hell." "Safer than I ever was with the Dursleys," Harry shot back. The portal began to flicker, the edges dissolving. "We're losing the connection," Bill warned, strain evident in his voice. "Harry," Dumbledore called quickly, "we will find a way to speak with you again. Please, think about what I've said." "Your parents would want—" "Don't," Harry interrupted, his voice suddenly hard. "Don't tell me what they would want. You don't get to use them like that." The portal shuddered, contracting. Dumbledore had time for one last statement: "We won't give up on you, Harry." Just before the connection broke entirely, they heard Luna's voice, "Neither will we." Then the portal collapsed, leaving the Order members staring at empty air where it had been. Silence fell over the room, broken eventually by Remus. "He looks like James," he said softly. "But those eyes." "Lily," Snape murmured, so quietly that only Dumbledore heard him. "Well, that was a bloody disaster," Moody growled. "The boy's surrounded by demons who've obviously turned him against us." "I'm not so sure," Dumbledore said thoughtfully. "Harry didn't seem bewitched or coerced. And did you notice his magical aura? It's developing remarkably well for a child with no formal training." "So what now?" Tonks asked, her hair shifting to a pensive purple. "We can't just leave him in hell, can we?" Dumbledore stroked his long beard, considering. "We need more information. And perhaps a different approach." He turned to Bill. "How soon can we establish another connection?" "The ritual takes significant power," Bill warned. "At least a week before we can attempt it again." "Then we have a week to prepare," Dumbledore decided. "Next time, I believe a less confrontational approach may yield better results." As the others began to disperse, Minerva remained behind with Dumbledore. "Albus," she said quietly, "I couldn't help but notice. The boy's accusation about the Dursleys, you didn't deny it." Dumbledore's shoulders slumped slightly. "How could I, Minerva? You warned me from the beginning what sort of people they were. I prioritized the blood protection over Harry's happiness, perhaps even his safety." It is a decision I must now live with, and one I must somehow make right. Minerva's expression softened slightly. Well, at least he appears to be well cared for, however strange his new circumstances. That Hellhound seemed quite protective. Indeed. Dumbledore's blue eyes twinkled briefly. I rather think Lily would have approved of someone defending her son so fiercely, regardless of species. Harry sat cross-legged on the floor of his magical training room, eyes closed in meditation as Azelphia had taught him. Around him, small objects, coins, marbles, pencils, orbited slowly, controlled by his will alone. He'd been practicing this exercise daily since the wizard portal incident 3 days ago. The encounter had left him unsettled, filled with questions about his past and his future. Meditation helped clear his mind, or at least that was the theory. The door opened, and Loona entered. Harry didn't open his eyes, but he knew her footsteps by heart now. "Still at it, huh?" she asked, leaning against a bookshelf. "Azelphia says it helps with focus," Harry replied, maintaining his concentration on the orbiting objects. "Sure, but you've been in here for 3 hours. Blitzo's starting to think you've been sucked into a magic vortex or something." Harry sighed and opened his eyes, letting the objects gently lower to the floor. "Sorry. I lost track of time." Loona studied him with unusual intensity. "You okay, kid? You've been weird since those wizards showed up." Harry shrugged, picking up one of the marbles and rolling it between his fingers. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About everything." He looked up at her. "Did you know they were looking for me? Before they found us, I mean." Loona hesitated, then nodded. "We had some idea. Blitzo's client mentioned it, remember? But you didn't tell me everything, did you?" "It wasn't really a question." Loona sighed and dropped down to sit across from him on the carpet. "No. Not everything. Blitzo found out more than he shared at first. Like the fact that you're some kind of chosen one in the wizard world. That there's a prophecy about you or some shit." Harry's eyes widened. "A prophecy? About me? Don't get too excited. According to what Blitzo heard, it's all very doom and gloom. Something about you being the only one who can defeat the dark wizard who killed your parents." "But he's already dead," Harry pointed out. "That's what Moxie said." "Yeah, well, apparently some people think he's not totally dead. Just mostly dead." Loona grimaced. "Look, I don't understand all the wizard politics. I just know there are people up there who think you're super important to their world." Harry was quiet for a moment, absorbing this. "Is that why you didn't tell me? You thought I'd want to go back?" Loona looked away, and Harry realized with surprise that she seemed vulnerable. It was an expression he'd never seen on her before. "Maybe," she admitted. "Or maybe I just didn't want to dump all that responsibility bullshit on a kid who was finally getting to be, you know, a normal kid. Well, as normal as you can be while living in hell with demons." Harry smiled a little at that. "I don't want to go back. Not now, anyway. But I think I do want to learn more. About my parents. About what happened." Loona met his eyes again. "Yeah, that's fair. I'd want to know too. Do you think those wizards will try to contact us again?" "Count on it." Loona smirked. That old guy with the beard didn't seem like the type to give up easily. Harry nodded, then hesitated before asking his next question. "If they do find a way to bring me back, would you come with me?" The question clearly caught Loona off guard. "To the human world? Me? You wouldn't have to stay," Harry added quickly. I don't want to go alone." Luna's expression softened into something almost tender. "Kid, if you think I'm letting you go anywhere without me at this point, you're dumber than Moxie after tequila night." She reached out and ruffled his hair. "Wherever you go, I go. That's the deal." Relief and happiness flooded through Harry. Thanks, Loona. Yeah, yeah. Don't make it weird. But she was smiling, in her way. Now come on. Millie made those weird human cookies you like, with the chocolate chips. If we don't hurry, Blitzo will eat them all while making disturbing moaning sounds. Harry laughed and got to his feet, following Loona out of the training room. As they walked back to the main office, he realized something important. While he might want to learn about his past, about the wizarding world, he wasn't in any rush to leave his present. For the first time in his life, he had what he'd always wanted, a family who chose him. Everything else could wait. In the weeks following the portal incident, Harry's training intensified. Azelphia, sensing the urgency of preparing him for whatever might come, pushed his magical education forward at an accelerated pace. Again, she instructed, circling Harry as he faced a training dummy she'd enchanted to fire harmless but startling bursts of energy at him. Protego! Harry shouted, slashing his wand downward. A transparent shield formed in front of him, absorbing the dummy's attack. Better, Azelphia nodded. But you're still hesitating. The shield must be instinctive, immediate. In a real battle, hesitation means death. From the sidelines, Loona frowned. He's 7. Maybe dial back the death in battle talk. Azelphia gave her a measured look. The boy faces threats from multiple worlds. Coddling him won't protect him. She turned back to Harry. Again, but this time, don't wait for the attack. Shield preemptively, then counter. Harry nodded, determination on his young face. When the dummy began to glow, signaling an incoming attack, he immediately raised his shield, then followed with a spell Azelphia had taught him the week before. Flipendo. The knockback jinx hit the dummy squarely, sending it tumbling backward. Excellent. Azelphia clapped her hands together, genuine approval in her voice. You're learning to chain defensive and offensive magic. Crucial in combat situations. Cool, but when are you going to teach him something really useful? Blitzo asked from where he lounged against the wall, supposedly supervising but mostly playing on his phone. Like how to turn people into toads. Or make money appear. Or make toads that poop money. Azelphia sighed. Transmutation of living beings is advanced magic, well beyond a beginner's capabilities. And conjuring currency is both complex and highly regulated in most magical societies. Boring, Blitzo yawned. I like the shield spell, Harry said, wiping sweat from his forehead. It feels important. It is, Azelphia agreed. Protection is the foundation of all magical mastery. One must learn to defend oneself before attempting to affect others. Speaking of protection, Loona interrupted, checking her phone. Moxie just texted. He says there's weird energy readings around the building. Same kind as when those wizards popped in for their creepy window shopping. Harry and Azelphia both looked up sharply. They're trying another portal, Azelphia said, her silver eyes narrowing. Sooner than I expected. Their magic users must be quite powerful. What do we do? Harry asked, torn between curiosity about the wizards and loyalty to his demon family. Azelphia considered for a moment. I believe we should prepare a proper reception this time. She smiled, showing silver teeth. After all, if they wish to open a door to hell, it would be impolite not to welcome them appropriately. In the I.M.P main office, the air shimmered and tore, a portal forming much like the one from weeks ago, but larger, more stable. Through it stepped not just a viewing window, but an actual doorway between worlds. Albus Dumbledore was the first to step through, wand at his side but not raised, a deliberate signal of peaceful intentions. Behind him came Minerva McGonagall and, somewhat surprisingly, Remus Lupin, who had insisted on joining the expedition. They found themselves in the now empty reception area of I.M.P, the red walls and strange decorations just as they'd seen through the viewing portal. Hello. Dumbledore called, his voice calm despite the tension evident in his stance. We come in peace. We wish only to speak with Harry. A door at the far end of the room swung open. Through it stepped the Hellhound, Loona, with Harry slightly behind her. Flanking them were the two imps they'd seen before, plus a third, taller one, all watching the wizards with various degrees of hostility. Well, well, the tall imp said, stepping forward with a dramatic flourish. The wizard squad finally figured out how to use a door. How modern of you. I'm Blitzo, the O is silent, owner and proprietor of this fine establishment. A pleasure, Dumbledore replied, inclining his head respectfully. I am Albus Dumbledore, headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. These are my colleagues, Professor McGonagall and Mr. Lupin. We know who you are, Loona said flatly. What we don't know is why you think barging into our workplace is acceptable. We apologize for the intrusion, McGonagall said, her Scottish accent more pronounced with stress. But surely you understand our concern for a human child living in, well, hell. Millie supplied helpfully. It's okay, you can say it. We're not offended. Remus, who had been staring at Harry with barely concealed emotion, finally spoke. Harry, do you remember me at all? I was friends with your parents. With James and Lily. Harry stepped slightly out from behind Loona, studying Remus curiously. You knew them too. Remus nodded, smiling sadly. Your father was one of my best friends. We went to school together. And your mother, she was the kindest, brightest witch I've ever known. Indeed, Dumbledore added gently. Both your parents were exceptional people, Harry. They would be very proud of the young man you're becoming. Harry seemed to consider this, his natural curiosity warring with caution. Look, Moxie interjected, not to be rude, but you can't just portal in here and start reminiscing. We have a business to run. A very legitimate, tax-paying business. He coughed nervously. That does not involve anything illegal whatsoever. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled slightly. I assure you, we have no interest in your business activities. Our concern is solely for Harry's well-being. Harry's well-being is our concern too, Loona growled. Or hadn't you noticed that he's doing just fine? We have noticed, Dumbledore acknowledged. In fact, I must admit, Harry appears to be thriving in ways I did not expect. His magical development especially seems quite advanced for his age. I've been practicing, Harry said, speaking directly to the wizards for the first time. Azelphia's been teaching me. She says I'm a natural. Azelphia? McGonagall questioned. As if summoned by her name, another figure emerged from the back room, the purple-skinned witch in her flowing robes. That would be me, she said smoothly, joining the group. I've taken it upon myself to instruct young Harry in the magical arts. A fascinating student, with remarkable potential. The wizards exchanged glances at the appearance of this unexpected teacher. Dumbledore studied her with particular interest. You are not a typical Hell Dweller, he observed. Your magical signature is complex. Azelphia smiled thinly. How observant. I existed in your world before finding my way here. The transition has been educational. A human witch who came to hell? Remus asked, clearly surprised. Former human, Azelphia corrected. The distinction is important. Dumbledore seemed to understand something the others didn't, nodding slowly. I see. And you've been teaching Harry human magic? Not demonic arts? A blend, Azelphia replied. The fundamentals are universal, though the applications differ. Harry shows aptitude for both traditions. McGonagall looked scandalized. Demonic magic. That's highly irregular and potentially dangerous for a child. No more dangerous than leaving him with abusive relatives, Loona shot back. An uncomfortable silence followed this statement. Finally, Dumbledore sighed heavily. You are right, of course. I made a grave error in Harry's placement, one for which I can only apologize. He looked directly at Harry. I truly believed the blood protection provided by your mother's sacrifice, anchored through her sister, would keep you safe. I failed to consider the other kinds of harm that might come to you there. Harry studied the old wizard's face, trying to gauge his sincerity. Why didn't anyone ever check on me, he asked. All those years, and no one from the wizard world ever came to see if I was okay. We did have someone watching, Dumbledore admitted. But from a distance, to avoid drawing attention to your location. Clearly, our surveillance was inadequate. You think? Blitzo interjected sarcastically. Dumbledore continued, focusing on Harry. I understand your reluctance to trust me, Harry. But there are matters about your past, and your future, that you should know. Information about your parents, about how they died, and about the wizard who killed them. Voldemort, Harry said, causing McGonagall to flinch slightly at the name. I know about him. I know he killed my parents and tried to kill me too. There is more to the story, Dumbledore said carefully. Things that affect your safety, even here in hell. This caught everyone's attention. Loona stepped closer to Harry, her protective instincts visibly heightening. What do you mean? She demanded. Dumbledore looked grave. Lord Voldemort was not entirely destroyed the night he attacked Harry. There are signs that he exists still, in a weakened form, seeking a way to return to power. And there are those who remain loyal to him, who would do anything to harm Harry or use him for their own purposes. Are you trying to scare us? Moxie asked nervously. No, merely to inform you of the full scope of the situation. Dumbledore turned to Harry again. I would like to propose a compromise, Harry. You clearly have formed strong bonds here, bonds I would not presume to break. But you also have a heritage in the wizarding world, a legacy from your parents, an education at Hogwarts that should be your birthright, and knowledge about your past that you deserve to have. What kind of compromise? Harry asked, intrigued despite his wariness. Regular visits, perhaps. A chance for you to learn about your parents, about the wizarding world. Perhaps even some formal magical education to complement what you're learning here. Without taking him from hell. Loona clarified suspiciously. For now, yes, Dumbledore nodded. Harry is still young. There is time to decide his permanent path when he's older and better informed. The demons exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Finally, Blitzo spoke up. We'd need guarantees. No sneaky wizard kidnapping. No brainwashing him against us. And I go with him, Loona added firmly. Wherever he goes, I go. Dumbledore considered this. I believe we can accommodate a chaperone. Though I must warn you, the human world may be uncomfortable for you. I've been to Earth before, Loona reminded him. I know how to blend in. Her form shimmered slightly, and suddenly she appeared more human, still canine in features but less obviously demonic, something a human might mistake for an elaborate costume. Impressive, McGonagall murmured. Harry looked up at Loona, then at Blitzo and the others, then back to Dumbledore. I'd like to learn about my parents, he admitted. And about magic. But this is my home now. He gestured to the office, to the demons around him. These are my people. Something that might have been pride flashed in Loona's eyes at his declaration. Very well, Dumbledore agreed. We shall arrange visits, supervised, as requested. Perhaps once a week to start. And you'll answer my questions? Harry pressed. The real answers, not just what you think I should hear. Dumbledore looked momentarily taken aback by the maturity of this demand from a 7-year-old, but he nodded solemnly. To the best of my ability, yes. Some truths may need to wait until you're older, but I will not lie to you, Harry. Then I agree, Harry decided. He looked up at Loona. If that's okay with you. The fact that he asked her permission seemed to affect Loona deeply. She cleared her throat. Yeah, kid. It's okay with me. As the details were arranged, times, meeting places, safety protocols, Remus found a moment to approach Harry more directly. "Harry," he said quietly, "I want you to have something." From his pocket, he withdrew a photograph. "This was taken at your parents' wedding. I thought you might like to see them." Harry took the photo with trembling hands, staring in wonder as the magical photograph moved, showing a handsome man with Harry's unruly hair spinning a beautiful red-haired woman in a white dress, both laughing joyfully. "They're moving," he breathed. "Magical photographs do that," Remus explained with a gentle smile. "That's your father, James. And your mother, Lily. You have her eyes, you know." Harry couldn't speak, too overwhelmed by seeing his parents' faces for the first time. He felt Loona move closer, looking over his shoulder at the photograph. "Your mom was hot," she commented, then quickly added, in a respectful way. Harry laughed despite the tears welling in his eyes. "Thanks for this," he said to Remus. "Really?" Remus nodded, his own eyes suspiciously bright. "I have more stories, photos, whenever you're ready to hear them." As the meeting concluded and arrangements were finalized, the wizards prepared to depart through their portal. Dumbledore paused before leaving, turning to address the entire group. "I must admit, this is not the outcome I anticipated when we located Harry. But perhaps it is a better one than I had hoped for. Thank you, all of you, for caring for him when we failed to do so." With that surprisingly humble statement, the wizards departed, the portal closing behind them. As soon as they were gone, Harry turned to the demons, clutching the photograph of his parents. "Do you really think this is okay? Me visiting them?" "Hell yeah!" Blitzo exclaimed. "Think about it, you'll be like our spy in the wizard world. Double Agent Potter. We can make you a tiny trench coat and everything." "It's not about espionage," Blitz, Moxie sighed. "It's about Harry connecting with his heritage." "Yeah, but the espionage thing is a fun bonus." Loona crouched down to Harry's eye level. "Look, kid. You deserve to know where you came from. Who your parents were. All that shit. Just." She hesitated, a rare vulnerability crossing her features. "Just remember where home is, okay?" Harry threw his arms around her neck, hugging her tightly. "I will. I promise." Loona seemed startled by the hug but awkwardly returned it, patting his back. Okay, enough with the mushy stuff." But she didn't pull away, and none of the others commented on the fact that her eyes seemed suspiciously damp. That night, after everyone else had gone home, Harry sat on his bed in his newly finished bedroom at the I.M.P offices, a space magically expanded by a Zelphia that managed to be both comfortable and suitably cool by Hell's standards. The walls were painted dark red with black trim, and magical lights that resembled small contained fires floated near the ceiling. Posters of both human and hellish bands decorated the walls, alongside a growing collection of magical artifacts Harry had been gifted or had made himself during training. He stared at the photograph Remus had given him, watching his parents dance and laugh over and over. For the first time, he had faces to go with the names. Real people, not the worthless drunks the Dursleys had described. A soft knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called. Loona entered, looking uncharacteristically hesitant. "Hey. Just checking if you need anything before I head out." "I'm good," Harry said. "Then, want to see?" He held up the photograph. Loona came over and sat beside him on the bed, looking at the image. "They look happy." "Yeah." Harry traced his finger over his mother's smiling face. "I wish I could remember them. Maybe those wizard visits will help with that." The werewolf guy seemed to know them pretty well. Harry looked up in surprise. "Werewolf? Remus is a werewolf?" Loona raised an eyebrow. "You couldn't tell. The scent is pretty obvious. To me, anyway. I mean, different species, but there's definitely some canine kinship there." "Wow. Harry looked back at the photo with renewed interest. I wonder what else I don't know. You'll find out, Loona assured him. One step at a time. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the magical photograph. Then Loona cleared her throat. So, I've been thinking. About those visits to the wizard world. Yeah. I'm gonna need some kind of human disguise. Can't exactly walk around looking like this without causing a scene. She gestured to her very obviously demonic appearance. You could use the partial shift, like you showed Dumbledore, Harry suggested. That's exhausting to maintain for long periods, Loona admitted. I was thinking something more, magical. Maybe that Azelphia could whip something up. Harry's eyes lit up. Like a magical disguise? That would be so cool. Yeah, well, don't get too excited. I'm still gonna be chaperoning your ass and making sure those wizards don't try anything sketchy. Harry grinned, not fooled by her gruff tone. You just want to see the wizard world too. Loona rolled her eyes, but there was a hint of a smile on her face. Maybe I'm a little curious. Sue me. I think it's going to be amazing, Harry said earnestly. We'll see, kid. We'll see. Loona stood up, stretching. Get some sleep. Knowing Blitzo, he's going to want a full report on everything that happened today, complete with dramatic reenactments. Harry carefully placed the photograph on his nightstand. Loona. Thanks. For everything. She paused at the door, looking back at him. Don't mention it. Seriously, don't. I have a reputation to maintain. But as she left, Harry caught the small, genuine smile on her face, the one she reserved just for him, her little brother from another world. In the shadows outside I.M.P. headquarters, a figure lurked, watching as lights went out in the building. Lord Mephisto's spy had observed the entire interaction with the wizards, recording everything with a magical device embedded in its multiple eyes. Most interesting, it murmured to itself. The boy will be traveling between worlds. Vulnerable during transit. And the Hellhound bond, stronger than anticipated. It slipped deeper into darkness, preparing to report its findings. This new development would please Lord Mephisto's greatly. The plan to acquire the boy and his unique magic could now proceed. Soon, the power of the boy who lived would belong to Hell's most ambitious demon lord. And neither his Hellhound protector nor his wizard allies would be able to stop it. Elsewhere, in a dilapidated mansion far from prying eyes, a meeting of a different sort was taking place. You're certain of this information? Lucius Malfoy asked, his aristocratic features tight with controlled excitement. The cloaked figure across from him nodded. Absolutely. Dumbledore and his order have located Potter. The boy is alive, but not where anyone expected. Where, then, demanded Bellatrix Lestrange, recently escaped from Azkaban and more unhinged than ever. Hell, the informant said simply. Living with demons, of all things. Silence fell over the assembled Death Eaters as they processed this information. Hell, Lucius repeated slowly. How appropriate. And Dumbledore? Has arranged visits with the boy. They hope to gradually win his trust, bring him back to the wizarding world. Bellatrix cackled. The little baby Potter, playing with demons. Oh, my dear sister would love to hear this. Her precious godson consorting with creatures of darkness. Focus, Bellatrix, Lucius snapped. This presents an opportunity. If the boy is traveling between worlds, there will be moments when he's vulnerable. And if he's been raised by demons? A slow, cruel smile spread across his face. Perhaps the Potter boy is already more aligned with our cause than Dumbledore realizes. What do we do? Asked another Death Eater. Lucius stroked the head of his cane, where a serpent's head concealed his wand. We observe. We plan. And when the moment is right. His gray eyes glinted with malice. We show the boy who lived exactly where his true destiny lies. As dawn broke over hell, a red, fiery dawn unlike anything on Earth, Harry Potter woke in his bed at I.M.P headquarters. For a moment, he lay still, thinking about everything that had happened the day before. The wizards, the agreement for visits, the photograph of his parents that now sat on his nightstand. His life had already changed dramatically when Loona had rescued him from the Dursleys. Now it was changing again, opening up to include yet another world, his parents' world, the world of magic he'd been born into but never known. It should have been overwhelming, terrifying even. But Harry found he wasn't afraid. He had something now that he'd never had at the Dursleys, something that made all the difference. He had a family. An incredibly strange, demon family who threatened to disembowel anyone who looked at him wrong, who taught him both magic spells and how to handle firearms, who bickered constantly but always had his back. With Loona as his self-appointed big sister, Blitzo as a weird uncle-grandfather figure, and Moxie and Millie as the slightly more responsible aunt and uncle, Harry had found his people in the unlikeliest of places. Whatever came next, wizards, dark lords, demon princes, or something else entirely, Harry knew one thing for certain, he wasn't facing it alone. For the boy who lived, that made all the difference in the world. Or worlds, as the case might be. Chapter 3, Worlds Collide. You ready for this, kid? Harry looked up at Loona, who stood beside him in an alleyway near the leaky cauldron. After weeks of preparation, today marked their first official visit to the wizarding world. I think so, he replied, adjusting the new glasses Azelphia had enchanted for him. They not only corrected his vision but also partially obscured his lightning scar, a precaution everyone had agreed was necessary. Loona looked nothing like herself. Azelphia's glamour charm gave her the appearance of a tall, punk-styled human woman with short white hair streaked with red and multiple piercings. Only her eyes remained unchanged, still blood-red with slit pupils, but Azelphia had assured them most wizards would assume they were magical contacts or a minor glamour affectation. Remember what we practiced, Loona said, straightening the collar of Harry's jacket. If anyone gives you trouble, don't set them on fire, Harry recited dutifully. And don't levitate them, freeze them, or turn their hair blue. And most importantly, Harry grinned. Don't tell them my big sister is actually a hellhound who could rip their throats out. Exactly. Loona ruffled his hair affectionately. Though that last one might actually be fun to see their reactions. They'd spent the past month preparing for this excursion. Harry had continued his magical training with Azelphia while also learning about wizarding culture and customs from books Remus had provided. Meanwhile, Loona had worked on her human mannerisms and studied up on wizarding society, determined not to be caught off guard. Professor Lupin should be waiting inside, Harry said, checking his watch, a gift from Moxie, who'd insisted punctuality was important even in hell. Then let's not keep Werewolf McGraybeard waiting. Loona adjusted her leather jacket and led the way toward the shabby pub that served as the gateway to Diagon Alley. Harry followed close behind, excitement and nervousness battling in his stomach. He'd grown so accustomed to hell's chaotic energy and demonic inhabitants that the idea of visiting the human world, even the magical part of it, felt strangely foreign. As they approached the leaky cauldron, Harry noticed something odd. Regular humans walked past the building without a second glance, their eyes sliding from the bookshop on one side to the record store on the other. They can't see it, he realized aloud. Loona followed his gaze. Oh. Yeah, Azelphia mentioned something about that. Magical concealment or whatever. It's called a muggle-repelling charm, Harry explained, remembering his reading. Non-magical people, muggles, can't see magical places. Convenient, Loona commented. Saves on awkward questions about why everyone's wearing bathrobes and pointy hats. Harry snickered. Loona's irreverent commentary on wizarding fashion had been a running joke during their preparation. They reached the pub's entrance, and Harry hesitated just a moment before pushing the door open. Inside, the leaky cauldron was dimly lit and somewhat shabby. A few patrons sat at scattered tables, nursing drinks or reading newspapers with moving pictures. Behind the bar, a bald, toothless man was wiping glasses. Immediately, Harry felt the difference in magical atmosphere. Hell's magic was chaotic, electric, almost alive with unpredictable energy. The wizarding world's magic felt more orderly, structured. It flowed around him like a gentle current rather than the crashing waves he'd grown used to. "You okay?" Loona asked quietly, noticing his momentary disorientation. "Yeah. Just feels different." A man rose from a corner table, Remus Lupin, looking slightly less shabby than when they'd first met. He approached with a warm smile. "Harry, Ms. Loona. You made it. Welcome to the wizarding world." "Hey," Loona nodded, scanning the room suspiciously. Her protective instincts were on high alert in this unfamiliar territory. "Hi, Professor Lupin," Harry said, grinning. Over the past month, he'd spoken with Remus several times through magical communication mirrors, learning bits and pieces about his parents and the wizarding world. "Please, just Remus is fine when we're not in formal settings," the werewolf reminded him. "Shall we proceed to Diagon Alley? I thought we might start with Flourish and Blots, the bookstore. I remember your mother spent hours there when we were students." At the mention of his mother, Harry brightened visibly. "I'd like that." Remus led them through the pub toward a small courtyard in the back. A few patrons glanced curiously at them, but no one seemed to recognize Harry, much to his relief. In the courtyard, Remus tapped a specific pattern on the brick wall with his wand. The bricks began to shift and rearrange themselves, forming an archway that opened onto a winding, cobblestone street filled with the most extraordinary shops Harry had ever seen. "Whoa," he breathed. Even Loona looked impressed, though she tried to hide it. "Okay, that was pretty cool." Diagon Alley stretched before them, bustling with witches and wizards in robes of various colors. Shop windows displayed everything from cauldrons and broomsticks to owls and strange, spinning silver instruments. "First stop, Flourish and Blots," Remus said, guiding them into the crowd. "Professor Dumbledore thought you might enjoy building your own magical library." "Blitzo's going to need to expand my room again," Harry muttered to Loona, who snorted in agreement. As they made their way down the alley, Harry tried to take in everything at once. Unlike Hell, where danger and strangeness lurked around every corner, the wizarding world felt like discovering a hidden layer of reality that had always existed alongside the mundane one he'd known at the Dursleys. Flourish and Blots was everything a magical bookstore should be, towering shelves crammed with books of all sizes, some chained shut, others floating gently above displays. The air smelled of parchment and leather and something indefinably magical. "Your mother's favorite section was over here," Remus said, leading Harry to a corner dedicated to charms. "Lily was brilliant at charms work. Your father, on the other hand, excelled at transfiguration." While Harry browsed with Remus, Loona prowled the nearby shelves, keeping Harry in sight while examining books with titles like Magical Creatures, Fact vs. Fiction, and Cross-Dimensional Travel and Its Perils. "Your sister seems vigilant," Remus observed quietly. Harry smiled at the term sister. "She always is. Back in Hell, she once broke someone's arm for trying to take my photo without permission." Remus's eyebrows shot up. "I see the protective instinct of the custodial bond is quite strong." "The what?" "The magical connection between you and Loona." Professor Dumbledore identified it as a custodial bond, a rare magical phenomenon where a hellhound forms a protective link with a younger being. They were more common centuries ago, when hellhounds were sometimes used as guardians for important demon children. Harry considered this. "So there's actual magic connecting us? It's not just that she decided to look after me?" "Both, I believe," Remus replied. "The magic reinforced what was already there, her natural protective instinct toward you. According to Professor Dumbledore, such bonds only form when the protector has genuine capacity for care, regardless of their species." Harry looked over at Loona, who was currently intimidating a book that had tried to snap at her fingers. The idea that magic itself had recognized and strengthened their connection made him feel even more secure in their relationship. After selecting several books, including Beginner's Guide to Defensive Magic and The History of Hogwarts, they continued their tour of the alley. Remus led them to Quality Quidditch Supplies, where Harry learned about the Wizarding World's most popular sport. "Your father was an exceptional Quidditch player," Remus told him as Harry gazed admiringly at a gleaming broomstick in the window. "A chaser for Gryffindor House, and later captain of the team." "You fly on these?" Loona asked skeptically, eyeing the broom. "Seems uncomfortable for certain anatomical reasons." Remus coughed. "There are, cushioning charms." Their next stop was Ollivander's, though Remus explained they wouldn't be purchasing a wand today. Traditionally, wizards receive their first wand at age 11 before starting at Hogwarts, he explained. "But I thought you might like to meet Mr. Ollivander and learn a bit about wand lore, especially since you already have a training wand from your tutor." The wandmaker's shop was narrow and shabby, with a single wand displayed on a faded purple cushion in the window. As they entered, a bell tinkled somewhere in the depths of the shop. An old man with wide, pale eyes appeared from between the towering shelves of wand boxes. "Ah, Remus Lupin. Cypress with unicorn hair, 10¼ inches. Good for defensive work. You remember, Mr. Ollivander." "I'm flattered. I remember every wand I've ever sold." The wandmaker's strange, silvery eyes moved to Harry, widening slightly. "And this must be, yes, I've been expecting you, though not quite so soon. Harry Potter." Harry tensed, but Ollivander merely smiled. "You have your mother's eyes. I remember when she bought her first wand. Willow, 10¼ inches. Excellent for charm work. Your father, on the other hand, favored a mahogany wand. 11 inches. Pliable. A bit more power and excellent for transfiguration." The wandmaker's gaze shifted to Loona, and his expression grew curious. "And your companion, how fascinating. Not often one sees such a unique magical signature in my shop." Loona straightened, eyes narrowing. "Got a problem with that?" "Not at all," Ollivander replied serenely. "Magic comes in many forms, from many realms. I find it all quite fascinating." They spent nearly an hour in the shop, with Ollivander explaining the basics of wand lore while carefully avoiding any mention of the specific wand that had given Harry his scar. By the time they left, Harry was laden with books and a small model of a golden snitch that fluttered around his head. "One last stop," Remus said. "Florian Fortescue's ice cream parlor. I promised you a treat, remember?" The ice cream shop was bright and cheerful, with magical flavors that changed color or sparkled or emitted small puffs of steam. Harry selected a chocolate and raspberry cone with chopped nuts, while Loona, after much suspicion, tried a scoop of Hellfire Surprise that actually breathed tiny flames. "This is almost as good as the stuff in the gluttony ring," she admitted after her first bite, referencing the part of hell known for its extraordinary culinary experiences. As they ate their ice cream at an outdoor table, watching the witches and wizards stroll by, Harry felt a strange sense of peace. The wizarding world was wonderful, magical and exciting in ways even hell couldn't match. But there was still something missing, something that only his demonic family provided. "What are you thinking?" Remus asked, noticing his contemplative expression. "Just that it's weird," Harry replied. "I belong to two worlds now. And neither one is the world I grew up in." Remus nodded understanding. "Your mother used to say something similar. As a Muggle-born witch, she felt caught between worlds too. But she found her place eventually, as will you." "I already found my place," Harry said, glancing at Loona who was eyeing a passing wizard's elaborate purple robes with undisguised judgment. "It's just, bigger now." After finishing their ice cream, they made their way back through the leaky cauldron. Their next stop would be Grimmauld Place, where Professor Dumbledore waited to continue Harry's education about his family history and the events surrounding Voldemort's attack. As they stepped outside into Muggle London, Harry felt a strange prickling at the back of his neck. He turned, scanning the crowded street, unable to shake the feeling they were being watched. "What's wrong?" Loona asked immediately, picking up on his unease. "I don't know. Just a weird feeling." Loona sniffed the air, a subtle motion that looked natural with her human appearance but betrayed her hellhound senses at work. Her eyes narrowed. "Something's off," she muttered. "Let's move faster." Remus, noticing their concern, placed a protective hand on Harry's shoulder. "Stay close. The safe house isn't far." They quickened their pace, navigating through the London crowds. Harry kept his head down, Loona kept scanning their surroundings, and Remus maintained a casual appearance while keeping his wand hand ready inside his jacket. None of them noticed the pair of ordinary pigeons perched on a nearby building, pigeons whose eyes gleamed with an unnatural red light as they tracked the trio's every move. Lord Mephistos watched through the eyes of his avian spies, a cruel smile playing on his skeletal features. Beside him, his most trusted lieutenant, a towering demon named Vexeros with blue-black scales and 4 arms, each ending in serrated claws, observed the magical viewing portal with calculated interest. "The boy travels with minimal protection," Vexeros noted. "Just the Hellhound and the werewolf." "Yes," Mephistos purred. "Dumbledore's arrogance serves us well. He believes the Potter boy is unknown in our realm, that Hell has no interest in human wizarding affairs." He laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "A fatal miscalculation. When do we strike, my lord?" Vexeros flexed his multiple arms eagerly. Mephistos traced one black claw along the image of Harry. "Not yet. Let them complete today's visit. Let them grow comfortable, complacent. We'll strike during transit, when they're between worlds, vulnerable in the dimensional threshold." "And the Hellhound?" "The bond may prove problematic." Mephistos lifted a crystal vial containing a swirling, oily black liquid. "This will neutralize the custodial bond temporarily. Long enough to separate them and bring the boy to our ritual chamber." Vexeros bowed deeply. "Your foresight is unparalleled, my lord." "Centuries of planning tend to sharpen one's strategic thinking," Mephistos replied dryly. "Now, gather our forces. I want everything in place for the next transition point." As Vexeros departed to carry out his orders, Mephistos turned back to the viewing portal, watching as Harry disappeared into a building in London, the hidden entrance to the Order of the Phoenix's headquarters. "Soon, young Potter," he whispered. "Soon your power will feed my ascension, and both hell and earth will tremble before me." Meanwhile, in the I.M.P. offices, Blitzo paced anxiously while Moxie and Millie tried to distract him with work. "They've been gone for hours," Blitzo exclaimed dramatically. "What if those wizard creeps kidnapped them? What if they turned Loona into a toad? What if they're forcing Harry to attend some boring magical boarding school where they don't even teach proper firearms handling?" "Blitz, it's only been 3 hours," Moxie pointed out reasonably. "They're scheduled to return this evening. That's like 45 hours in parent time." "You're not actually his parent," Moxie muttered. "I am his spiritual grandfather." Blitzo clutched his chest theatrically. "That practically makes me a parent. Plus, I'm Luna's dad, which makes me Harry's dad-in-law." "No, that's not right. Step-granduncle." "Whatever, the point is I'm worried." Millie patted his arm sympathetically. "Ah, it's sweet how attached you've gotten to little Harry. Remember when you used to complain about having a human child around the office? That was before I knew how adorable he'd look in the tiny I.M.P. uniform you made him," Blitzo sniffled. "Or how good he'd get at loading my shotgun." The door to the magical training room opened, and Azelphia emerged, carrying several ancient-looking tomes. "Your anxiety is disrupting my concentration," she informed Blitzo flatly. "I can feel it pulsing through the walls." "Well, sorry for caring about my family's safety," Blitzo retorted, throwing his hands up. "Some of us have emotions, you know." Azelphia raised one elegant eyebrow. I assure you, I'm quite capable of emotion when the situation warrants it. However, at present, logic would serve you better. The boy is well protected. Between the Hellhound's bond, the werewolf's combat experience, and the protective enchantments I personally added to Harry's glasses and jacket, he's safer than most heads of state. See, Blitz? Millie said encouragingly. Harry's fine. And they'll be back before you know it. I suppose, Blitzo grumbled, dropping into a chair. I just don't trust those wizard types. All secretive and manipulative with their twinkling eyes and fancy beards. Actually, Azelphia said, her tone changing subtly, your instincts may not be entirely misplaced. I've detected some, concerning magical signatures around our building recently. This immediately got everyone's attention. What kind of signatures? Moxie asked, straightening. Nothing from the wizarding world, Azelphia clarified. These are native to Hell, but unusually powerful. Someone with significant magical ability has been observing this location. Like a stalker? Millie asked, her cheerful demeanor shifting instantly to combat readiness. More like reconnaissance, Azelphia replied. Professional, careful. I've strengthened the wards, but I thought you should know. Blitzo's expression hardened from theatrical worry to genuine concern. When did this start? Shortly after the wizard's first visit. I believed it coincidental at first, but the pattern has become deliberate. You think someone in Hell is interested in Harry? Moxie asked. A human child with extraordinary magical potential, under the protection of a Hellhound, now connected to the human wizarding world. Azelphia's silver eyes glinted. I would be more surprised if he hadn't attracted attention. Blitzo jumped to his feet. That's it. I'm calling Loona right now. They need to come back early. Don't, Azelphia advised. If someone is watching, we shouldn't alert them that we're aware. Let the visit conclude as planned. But perhaps we should prepare a welcoming committee, just in case our observer decides to make a move when they return. Blitzo's worried expression transformed into a predatory grin. Now you're speaking my language. Moxie. Get the weapons. Millie. The traps. We're going full Home Alone on any demon scumbag who tries to mess with our kid. As the imp scrambled to action, Azelphia returned to her chambers, her silver eyes thoughtful. She hadn't told them everything, hadn't mentioned that she recognized the magical signature, or that it belonged to one of the most dangerous entities in Hell. Some knowledge was too dangerous to share, even with allies. But she would be ready. They all would be. In Grimmauld Place, Harry sat in an ancient library across from Albus Dumbledore, who was carefully laying out magical photographs and newspaper clippings on a table between them. Loona stood by the window, maintaining her human glamour but clearly uncomfortable in the dusty, oppressive atmosphere of the Black family home. These, Dumbledore said, indicating a stack of photos, are from your parents' time at Hogwarts. Remus kindly provided them from his personal collection. Harry eagerly examined the moving images, his father as a young Quidditch player, zooming around on a broomstick, his mother brewing a potion, her face alight with concentration, both of them together at what appeared to be a school dance, laughing as James attempted to twirl Lily. They look so happy, Harry said softly. They were, especially in their final years at school, Dumbledore confirmed. Though I must admit, their early relationship was rather tempestuous. Remus chuckled from where he stood preparing tea. That's putting it mildly. Lily thought James was an arrogant torag for years. He had to do quite a bit of growing up before she'd give him the time of day. But they figured it out eventually, right? Harry asked. Indeed they did, Dumbledore smiled. By their 7th year, they were inseparable. After graduation, they joined the Order of the Phoenix together, our organization dedicated to fighting Lord Voldemort and his followers. Dumbledore carefully moved the school photos aside and placed a new image on the table, a group of witches and wizards standing together, looking determined and battle-ready. The original order, he explained. Here are your parents. He pointed to James and Lily standing near the center, their arms around each other. And here is Remus, along with their other close friends, Sirius Black and Peter Pettigrew. Harry studied the faces intently, committing them to memory. What happened to their friends? Sirius and Peter. A heavy silence fell. Remus and Dumbledore exchanged glances. That, Dumbledore said carefully, is part of the more difficult history I promised to share with you today. Are you prepared for that, Harry? Harry nodded, feeling Loona move closer to stand supportively behind his chair. Very well. Dumbledore leaned forward, his blue eyes serious. As you know, Lord Voldemort sought to kill you as a baby. What you don't yet know is why he targeted your family specifically, or how he found them when they were in hiding. Over the next hour, Dumbledore explained the prophecy that had marked Harry as Voldemort's target, the Fidelius charm that had hidden the Potters, and the betrayal by Peter Pettigrew that had led to their deaths. He spoke of how Sirius Black had been wrongfully imprisoned for Pettigrew's crimes, and how he had recently escaped from Azkaban wizarding prison. Sirius is your godfather, Harry, Remus added gently. He would have raised you if things had gone differently. He's innocent but on the run. Harry clarified, trying to process everything. Yes, Dumbledore confirmed. We are working to clear his name, but the Ministry of Magic is resistant to acknowledging their mistake. Harry sat back, mind reeling. So this prophecy, it says I'm the only one who can defeat Voldemort. It suggests as much, yes. Though prophecies are notoriously subject to interpretation. But he's already gone, right? You said he lost his powers when he tried to kill me. Dumbledore's expression grew grave. Lord Voldemort was greatly diminished that night, but not truly vanquished. There have been signs of his lingering presence. Attempts to return to power. Loona, who had been uncharacteristically quiet during the history lesson, finally spoke up. So you're telling us this dark wizard ghost is still kicking around somewhere, and he's got a magical hard-on for killing Harry? And there's a prophecy saying the kid has to be the one to take him out for good? Dumbledore winced slightly at her phrasing but nodded. That is the essence of it, yes. Well, that's just fucking great, Loona growled, her glamour flickering slightly as her anger rose. You wizards really know how to dump responsibility on a 7-year-old. The prophecy doesn't specify a timeline, Dumbledore clarified quickly. There is no expectation that Harry should confront Voldemort now, or even in the near future. My goal in sharing this information is simply to ensure Harry understands the full context of his situation. And to make sure I know why safety precautions are important, Harry added perceptively. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled with approval. Precisely. You are quite astute for your age, Harry. Hell teaches you to pick up on subtext pretty quick, Harry replied with a small shrug. Especially when missing it might get you eaten. Remus looked mildly alarmed at this casual reference to Hell's dangers, but Dumbledore merely nodded understanding. Now, the headmaster continued, I believe we should discuss your continuing magical education. While your current tutor seems quite knowledgeable, there are aspects of wizarding magic that may differ from what you're learning in your current residence. You mean the hellish magic stuff? Harry asked directly. Indeed. The magical traditions diverged centuries ago, and while the fundamental principles remain similar, the applications and ethical frameworks are quite distinct. He means wizard magic has more rules and fewer explosions, Loona translated dryly. A colorful but not inaccurate summation, Dumbledore acknowledged with a small smile. What I propose is a balanced curriculum, continuing your current studies while adding specific wizarding subjects that will prepare you for eventual attendance at Hogwarts, should you choose that path. Harry perked up at this. I'd get to go to Hogwarts. The school where my parents went. It would be your right as the child of magical parents, Dumbledore confirmed. Traditionally, students begin at age 11, though your circumstances are, admittedly, unprecedented. Harry looked up at Loona questioningly. They'd discussed this possibility but hadn't made any firm decisions. It's your call, kid, she said, her voice gentler than it had been moments before. I told you I'd support whatever you want. Would Loona be able to stay with me? Harry asked Dumbledore. If I went to Hogwarts? The headmaster stroked his beard thoughtfully. That would require some creative arrangements. Hogwarts has never had a Hellhound in residence. However, he added, seeing Harry's expression fall, I believe accommodations could be made. The custodial bond between you is not something to be taken lightly. Relief flooded Harry's face. Then I'd like to learn what I need to go to Hogwarts someday. Not right now, but when I'm old enough. An excellent decision, Dumbledore beamed. We shall arrange for appropriate materials and perhaps occasional tutoring sessions to supplement your current education. As they finalized details for future visits and educational plans, the atmosphere in the room gradually relaxed. Even Loona seemed less hostile toward Dumbledore, though she maintained her vigilant stance. Finally, as evening approached, Remus checked his watch. We should prepare for your return journey. The portal window opens in 30 minutes. They gathered Harry's books and gifts, Dumbledore placing them in an enchanted bag that was much larger on the inside than it appeared. A small gift for your growing collection, he explained, handing it to Harry. It should prove useful for transporting items between worlds. Thank you, sir, Harry replied, genuinely grateful. As they prepared to leave Grimmauld Place for the designated portal location, a secluded area in a nearby park, Dumbledore placed a gentle hand on Harry's shoulder. I want you to know, Harry, how proud I am of the young man you're becoming. Despite circumstances that would have broken many others, you have shown remarkable resilience and an admirable capacity for compassion. Your parents would be very proud indeed. Harry felt a lump form in his throat. Thank you, sir. Loona, seeing his emotional response, stepped closer. All right, enough with the sappy stuff. We've got a portal to catch. Her gruffness made Harry smile, knowing it was her way of protecting him from becoming too emotional in front of others. It was one of the many ways she looked out for him. They left Grimmauld Place under a concealment charm, making their way through London streets as twilight deepened. Remus led them to a small, overgrown park surrounded by tall hedges, isolated enough for magical transportation but still accessible. The portal will open precisely at 7 o'clock, Remus explained, checking his watch again. Prepared by Bill Weasley on your end and Azelphia on ours, connecting directly to I.M.P headquarters. Harry nodded, excited to return home and tell Blitzo and the others about everything he'd seen and learned. As much as he'd enjoyed the wizarding world, he missed the chaotic comfort of the I.M.P offices, Millie's deadly but cheerful combat lessons, Moxie's exasperated sighs, and Blitzo's over-the-top enthusiasm. As 7 o'clock approached, Remus began setting up small runic stones in a circle while Dumbledore, who had accompanied them, cast protective enchantments around the perimeter. Standard precautions, the headmaster explained, noting Harry's curious expression. Dimensional travel leaves a temporary magical signature that could theoretically be tracked by someone with sufficient skill. Theoretically? Loona repeated skeptically. A remote possibility only, Dumbledore assured her. Few wizards possess such capabilities, and fewer still would have reason to look. The minutes ticked by. 7 o'clock arrived, and the air within the runic circle began to shimmer with familiar energy. Right on time, Remus smiled. The portal should stabilize in about 30 seconds. That's when Harry felt it, a sudden, cold pressure in the air, like the atmosphere before a violent storm. Beside him, Loona tensed, her glamour flickering as her hellhound instincts detected the same disturbance. Something's wrong, she growled. Dumbledore and Remus immediately went on alert, wands raised. The portal, Dumbledore began, but he never finished the sentence. The shimmering air between the runestones suddenly turned black, crackling with malevolent energy. A wave of force exploded outward, knocking everyone off their feet. As Harry scrambled up, he saw the portal transforming, expanding beyond the runic circle, its edges jagged like a tear in reality. Through this distorted gateway stepped a tall, skeletal figure with ash-gray skin and burning coal-red eyes. Lord Mephisto surveyed the fallen wizards with cold amusement, then fixed his gaze on Harry. "The boy who lived," he purred, his voice like grinding stone. "At last, we meet." Loona leapt to her feet with a feral snarl, her glamour completely gone now, revealing her true hellhound form. She placed herself between Harry and the demon lord. "Get away from him," she growled, claws extended. Mephisto's merely laughed. "The protective hound. How charming." He snapped his fingers, and the air around them filled with lesser demons, twisted, misshapen creatures with too many limbs and glowing eyes. Dumbledore and Remus recovered quickly, sending spells flying at the invaders. Multicolored jets of light struck several demons, binding or stunning them, but more poured through the corrupted portal. "Harry, stay close," Loona shouted, grabbing his arm and pulling him away from the main battle. But Mephisto's moved with unnatural speed, appearing directly in their path. "I think not," he said smoothly, and tossed a vial of black liquid that shattered at their feet. The oily substance exploded into a cloud of dark mist that enveloped them both. Harry felt a burning sensation in his chest, like something being torn away. Beside him, Loona gasped in pain. "What did you do?" Harry demanded, raising his wand defensively. "A temporary measure," Mephisto's explained casually, as if discussing the weather. "A dampening agent for your charming little bond. Don't worry, the separation won't kill either of you. That would be counterproductive to my needs." He gestured, and more demons appeared, surrounding them. Loona fought viciously, tearing through several with her claws despite the obvious pain she was experiencing from the bond disruption. Harry pointed his wand at the nearest demon. Flipendo. The knockback jinx sent the creature flying, but 3 more took its place. Meanwhile, Dumbledore and Remus were battling their way toward them, but the sheer number of demons slowed their progress. Dumbledore's magic was impressive, swaths of demons fell before his wand, but Mephisto's had clearly come prepared, his forces seemingly endless. "Your wizards are powerful," Mephisto's commented to Harry, "but outnumbered. And my little surprise has separated you from your hellhound's full protection." He extended one long-clawed hand. "Come with me willingly, boy, and I'll spare your friends. Resist, and watch them suffer." "Don't listen to him, Harry," Loona shouted, fighting to reach him despite the barrier of demons between them. "He's lying." "Indeed I am," Mephisto's agreed cheerfully. "I'm going to kill them regardless. But coming willingly might make your own experience less traumatic." Harry gripped his wand tighter, mind racing. The wizarding spells he knew were limited, and Hell's chaotic magic responded differently in the human world. "But maybe. I'll go with you," he called to Mephisto's, "if you tell me why." "Why me? What do you want?" The demon lord smiled, revealing obsidian black teeth. "Intelligent question. I appreciate that." He took a step closer. "You, Harry Potter, are a nexus of extraordinary magical power. The night Voldemort's curse rebounded, it created something unique, a human child connected to both the deepest light and darkest magic. And now, after months in Hell, your magical core has been infused with infernal energy as well." He spread his skeletal hands. "Such a combination, properly harvested, will fuel my ascension to power unmatched in Hell's hierarchy. Lord of the Nine Circles has a pleasant ring to it, don't you think? You want to use me as a magical battery?" Harry clarified, disgust evident in his voice. "Crude but accurate terminology," Mephisto's nodded. "Now, shall we depart? My ritual chamber awaits." "Harry, run!" Loona screamed, breaking through the demon line and charging toward him. In that moment, several things happened at once. Mephisto's lunged for Harry. Dumbledore sent a powerful spell that cleared a path through the lesser demons. And Harry, drawing on everything Azelphia had taught him about Hell's chaotic magic, did something unexpected. Instead of running, he thrust his wand into the ground and shouted an incantation that combined wizarding precision with hell's raw power, Terra Disruptus. The earth beneath them cracked and heaved. Mephisto staggered, momentarily thrown off balance. In that instant, Loona reached Harry, wrapping her arms around him protectively. "Nice spell, kid," she panted. "I improvised," Harry admitted. Their reunion was short-lived. Mephisto's recovered quickly, rage contorting his skeletal features. "Enough games," he snarled, raising his hands. Dark energy crackled between his fingers, forming a net of shadowy power that he flung toward them. "Protego!" Harry shouted, raising his strongest shield charm. The magical barrier flickered into existence, but Mephisto's attack was too powerful. The shield cracked, and the shadow net wrapped around them both. Harry felt his strength draining rapidly, his wand arm growing heavy. Beside him, Loona struggled against the binding energy, her movement slowing. "A valiant effort," Mephisto said, approaching. "But futile." Then, just as he reached for Harry, another portal burst into existence directly behind the Demon Lord, not the corrupted gateway he had created, but a new one, crackling with familiar energy. Through it came Blitzo, wielding a massive shotgun. "Surprise, motherfucker," he bellowed, unloading both barrels into Mephisto's back. The Demon Lord roared in pain and outrage, whirling to face this new threat. Behind Blitzo came Moxie and Millie, armed to the teeth, followed by Azelphia in full battle regalia, silver eyes blazing with magical energy. "Sorry we're late to the party," Blitzo called to Harry and Loona. "Traffic in the dimensional throughway was a bitch." "Impossible," Mephisto's growled. "The portal network is more accessible than you think when you've got a Hellhound's bond to track," Azelphia finished for him, stepping forward with runes glowing on her palms. "Especially when that bond is under attack." She gestured sharply, and the shadow net binding Harry and Loona dissolved. The battle erupted into chaos. Millie charged into the fray, her knives flashing as she cut down lesser demons with terrifying efficiency. Moxie provided covering fire, his precision shots dropping demons before they could regroup. Blitzo fought his way toward Harry and Loona, blasting anything that got in his way. "You okay, kiddo?" he asked, reaching them and reloading his shotgun in one smooth motion. "Been better," Harry admitted shakily. The magical drain from Mephisto's attack had left him weakened. "Hang in there. The cavalry's here now." Blitzo turned to Loona. "How about you, Loony?" She bared her teeth in a fierce grin. "Ready to rip that skeleton fucker apart." Meanwhile, Dumbledore and Remus had joined forces with Azelphia, their combined magical abilities creating a formidable front against Mephisto's and his minions. The Demon Lord fought back with terrifying power, but seemed genuinely surprised by the coordination between the wizards and the Helldwellers. "This changes nothing," he roared, summoning a wave of dark fire that swept across the battlefield. "The boy will be mine." Harry watched the battle unfolding around him, the people he cared about from both worlds fighting together to protect him. Something stirred in his chest, a feeling of connection that transcended the disrupted bond with Loona, encompassing everyone who had come to his aid. And in that moment, he knew what he had to do. "Loona," he said urgently, "I need to get closer to Mephisto's." "Are you insane?" she demanded. "That's literally the opposite of what you should be doing right now." "Trust me," Harry insisted. "I have an idea. But I need your help." Loona hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "Fine. But we do it together." They moved cautiously around the edge of the battle, Blitzo providing cover. As they approached, they saw Azelphia and Dumbledore working in surprising harmony, their different magical styles complementing each other as they pressed Mephisto's backward. "Whatever you're planning, make it quick," Loona muttered. "I don't think Skeletor over there is going to hold back much longer." She was right. Mephisto's, realizing he was losing the advantage, suddenly unleashed his full power. A shockwave of dark energy knocked everyone off their feet, including his own minions. In the momentary stillness that followed, he fixed his burning gaze on Harry. "Enough of this," he snarled. "You come with me now." He extended one hand, and Harry felt an invisible force pulling him forward. He struggled against it but found himself being dragged inexorably toward the demon lord. "No!" Loona shouted, lunging to grab him, but a second burst of energy sent her flying backward. As Harry was pulled to within arm's reach of Mephisto's, he saw the demon lord's triumphant smile, the obsidian teeth gleaming in the magical light that suffused the battlefield. At last, Mephisto's gloated, reaching for Harry with clawed fingers. But Harry wasn't helpless. In the weeks since Azelphia had begun training him, he'd learned that his greatest strength lay not in offensive magic, but in something more fundamental, the protection magic that had saved him from Voldemort as a baby, reinforced by his time in Hell and his bond with Loona. As Mephisto's hand closed around his arm, Harry didn't fight the contact. Instead, he focused all his will, all his magic, all his emotion into a single, powerful intention: protect. Not just himself, but everyone: Loona, Blitzo, Moxie, Millie, Azelphia, Dumbledore, Remus. All the people from both worlds who had shown him kindness, who had become his family. The moment Mephisto's touched him, a blinding white gold light erupted from Harry's skin. The demon lord screamed, a sound of genuine agony as the protective magic seared into him like holy fire. "What is this?" he shrieked, trying to pull away but finding himself unable to break contact. "What magic is this?" "Love," Dumbledore said softly, watching with amazement from where he had fallen. "The oldest magic of all." The light spread from Harry's body in a wave, rushing outward across the battlefield. Where it touched the lesser demons, they shrieked and dissolved into ash. But when it washed over Harry's allies, it seemed to strengthen them, healing minor injuries and restoring magical energy. Mephisto's finally wrenched himself away from Harry, stumbling backward, his skeletal hand charred and smoking. "Impossible," he gasped. "No human child should possess such power." Before he could recover, Loona was on him, driven by a fury beyond reason. Her disrupted bond with Harry had suddenly flared back to full strength, amplified by the wave of protective magic. She attacked with savage precision, claws raking across Mephisto's face, drawing ichor that gleamed like oil in the magical light. The demon lord fought back desperately, but now he faced not only Loona but the combined might of both teams, I.M.P and the wizards, all empowered by Harry's magic. Azelphia stepped forward, silver eyes blazing, and began an incantation in an ancient language. Runic symbols appeared in the air around her, glowing with increasing intensity. "Now, Dumbledore," she called. "The binding spell." The old wizard raised his wand, joining his magic to hers. Together they wove a complex pattern of light and energy that encircled Mephisto's, constricting around him like luminous chains. "You dare," the demon lord raged, struggling against the bindings. "I am Mephisto's, lord of the seventh circle. You cannot contain me." "Watch us," Azelphia replied coldly. With a final gesture, she completed the spell, and the magical chains tightened inexorably. Mephisto's howled in fury and pain as the combined magics of earth and hell compressed around him, forcing him to his knees. His burning eyes fixed on Harry with undiluted hatred. "This isn't over, boy," he spat. "You've made an enemy today who will never forget, never forgive." Harry stepped forward, supported by Loona. Despite his exhaustion, he faced the bound demon lord without fear. "And you tried to hurt my family. Both of them. That's something I won't forget either." With a final, complex movement of her hands, Azelphia completed the binding ritual. Mephisto's form began to compress and distort, folding in on itself until, with a sound like thunder, he vanished, banished to some distant corner of hell, bound by magic from two worlds. The corrupted portal he had created collapsed, leaving only the original gateway that I.M.P had used to reach them. In the sudden silence, everyone stood stunned, processing what had just occurred. Blitzo was the first to break the moment, rushing to Harry and Loona and pulling them both into a tight hug. "Holy shit, that was awesome. Terrifying, but awesome. Harry, you were like a little magical nuke. And Loona, the way you slashed that bony bastard's face. Chef's kiss. Despite the gravity of what had just happened, Harry couldn't help but laugh at Blitzo's enthusiasm. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving him shaky but relieved. Dumbledore approached, looking both impressed and concerned. That was remarkable magic, Harry. Unlike anything I've ever witnessed. It just happened, Harry tried to explain. I wanted to protect everyone, and it was like something inside me knew exactly what to do. The protection your mother gave you, Dumbledore mused. But amplified, changed somehow. The custodial bond, Azelphia said, joining them. It's created a magical circuit between Harry and Loona. When Mephistos disrupted it temporarily and then Harry reconnected it under extreme emotional pressure, it triggered a cascading magical reaction. Loona, still keeping one arm protectively around Harry, looked skeptical. So the kid turned into a magical flashbang because we got our bond back. That doesn't make sense. Love rarely does, Dumbledore said simply. But it remains the most powerful magic in any world. Remus, who had been helping Moxie and Millie round up any surviving lesser demons, joined the group. I hate to break up the magical theory discussion, but we should move quickly. That display of power will have attracted attention, both magical and mundane. He was right. In the distance, they could hear sirens approaching. The battle had not gone unnoticed in the Muggle world. We need to get back to Hell, Blitzo decided. The portal won't stay open much longer. Dumbledore nodded agreement. Remus and I can handle the situation here. We'll modify memories, repair damage. Harry looked between the two groups, his demon family and his wizarding connections, feeling the weight of straddling two worlds more keenly than ever. When can I come back? He asked Dumbledore. For another visit, I mean. The old wizard smiled gently. Perhaps we should allow some time for the magical energies to settle. What happened today was extraordinary, Harry, and potentially dangerous if it were to recur unexpectedly. 2 weeks, Azelphia suggested. I need time to study what happened and help Harry learn to control this new manifestation of his power. Dumbledore agreed. 2 weeks, then. In the meantime, perhaps we could arrange for Remus to visit you in Hell. To continue your wizarding education in a controlled environment. Harry brightened at this. You'd come to Hell, Professor Lupin. Remus looked momentarily alarmed but quickly recovered. Well, I suppose that would be educational for me as well. If it's permitted. Are you kidding? It'll be great. Blitzo exclaimed. We can give you the grand tour. Show you all the sights. Well, maybe not all of them, some circles are kind of intense for first-timers. But the Pride Ring has some excellent restaurants. As they finalized these plans, the sirens grew closer. The I.M.P. team gathered near their portal, preparing to depart. Harry, Dumbledore called as they were about to step through. What happened today, the way magic from both worlds worked together through you, it was unprecedented. I believe it signifies something important about your future. What's that, sir? Dumbledore's blue eyes twinkled. That perhaps the prophecy about you defeating darkness will unfold in ways none of us have anticipated. You are building bridges between worlds, Harry. That may prove more significant than any single battle. With those cryptic words echoing in his mind, Harry stepped through the portal with Loona's arms still around his shoulders, returning to the Hell he now called home. 2 days later, Harry sat cross-legged on the floor of his magical training room, eyes closed in meditation. Across from him, Azelphia monitored his magical aura with silent concentration, while Loona leaned against the wall, pretending to be bored but watching attentively. The energy patterns have stabilized, Azelphia announced finally. The surge during the battle doesn't appear to have caused any permanent changes to your magical core. Harry opened his eyes. So I can't do that light explosion thing again? I didn't say that, Azelphia corrected. The capability clearly exists within you. But it seems to require very specific emotional and magical conditions, namely, a direct threat to those you care about combined with the amplifying effect of the custodial bond. Is it dangerous? Loona asked, the question revealing her underlying concern. For him, I mean. All powerful magic carries risks, Azelphia replied. But the greater danger would be leaving such potential untrained. Which is why, she turned back to Harry, we'll be adding a new component to your lessons, emotional control and channeling. Harry nodded seriously. The battle with Mephistos had shaken him more than he wanted to admit. The idea that someone would want to use him as a magical battery, to drain his life force for power, it was terrifying. But it had also shown him something important, his growing family from both worlds would fight for him, protect him, just as fiercely as he wanted to protect them. What about Mephistos? He asked. Is he really gone? Azelphia's silver eyes darkened. Not permanently. The binding spell we used was powerful, especially combined with Dumbledore's magic, but a demon lord of his stature cannot be destroyed so easily. He is contained, weakened, and will remain so for some time. But eventually, he will find a way to free himself. And then he'll come after Harry again, Loona concluded grimly. Perhaps. Or perhaps he will reconsider, having witnessed the boy's power. Azelphia rose gracefully to her feet. In either case, we have time to prepare. After she left to report her findings to Blitzo, Loona slid down the wall to sit beside Harry on the carpet. Hell of a first visit to the wizard world, huh? She said dryly. Harry laughed despite himself. Yeah, not exactly what I expected. Though I did get ice cream, so it wasn't all bad. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Harry spoke again, more seriously. I was scared. When Mephistos broke our bond thing. It felt like something important was being ripped away. Loona nodded, unusually solemn. Yeah. I felt it too. Like someone tore out something inside me I didn't even know was there until it was gone. She hesitated, clearly struggling with expressing emotion. It sucked. Coming from Loona, this understated description spoke volumes. Harry leaned against her shoulder, and after a brief hesitation, she put her arm around him. Azelphia says the bond is stronger now, Harry told her. After what happened? Makes sense. Near-death magical bullshit is probably like relationship bootcamp for weird hellhound human bonds. Harry grinned at her characteristically blunt assessment. I'm glad it's you, he said quietly. That I'm bonded to, I mean. I can't imagine it being anyone else. Loona cleared her throat, clearly uncomfortable with the sentimentality but not pulling away. Yeah, well. You're not so bad yourself, kid. After a pause, she added gruffly, I would have torn that skeleton freak to pieces if he'd actually gotten away with you. I know, Harry said simply, because he did know. Just as surely as he knew Blitzo would have emptied hell of ammunition trying to rescue him, or Moxie would have planned the most meticulous rescue operation in history, or Millie would have cheerfully dismembered anyone who stood in her way. Just as surely as he now knew Dumbledore and the wizarding world wouldn't give up on him either, despite his unconventional living situation. He belonged to two worlds now, and both of them had fought for him. Both of them had recognized him as their own. What are you thinking about with that serious face? Loona asked, interrupting his reflection. Harry smiled. Just that I'm really lucky. Lucky? Loona echoed incredulously. Kid, you got orphaned, abused by relatives, kidnapped to hell, and nearly sacrificed by a demon lord. I don't think lucky is the word. But I found you, Harry pointed out. And Blitzo and everyone. And now I'm learning about my parents and magic. He shrugged. Seems pretty lucky to me. Loona stared at him for a moment, then shook her head with a reluctant smile. You're weird, you know that. In a good way, but definitely weird. I live in hell with a demon family. Weird is relative. She laughed and ruffled his hair. Can't argue with that logic. Come on, Blitzo's probably planning some ridiculous, you survived your first demon lord attack, party. We should go stop him before he orders another bouncy castle. I liked the bouncy castle, Harry protested as they stood. Yeah, but the delivery imps still have restraining orders against us after what Millie did to the last one. As they left the training room, Harry felt a profound sense of contentment despite the dangers he'd faced and those that might still lie ahead. His path forward wouldn't be simple, straddling two worlds, navigating magical education from different traditions, dealing with the fame he apparently had in the wizarding world, and the prophecy hanging over his future. But he wouldn't face any of it alone. His Hellhound big sister would be with him every step of the way, along with the rest of his strange, wonderful found family. 1 week later, Remus Lupin stepped nervously through a portal into I.M.P headquarters, a leather satchel clutched in his hands. His eyes widened as he took in the red walls, weapon displays, and general chaos of the assassination company's offices. Professor Lupin. Harry called excitedly, rushing forward to greet him. You actually came. I promised I would, Remus smiled, then jumped slightly as Blitzo appeared seemingly from nowhere, throwing an arm around his shoulders. Welcome to hell, Professor Wolfman. I'm Blitzo, the O is silent, your tour guide to all things infernal. We've got a whole itinerary planned, magical lesson with Harry first, then lunch at Ozzy's, best damn pizza in the Pride Ring, then a scenic tour of the less murdery districts. Remus looked slightly overwhelmed but gamely nodded. That sounds educational. Harry grinned up at him. Don't worry, they've toned it down a lot. You should have seen what they wanted to show you before Moxie vetoed half the list. Spoil sport, Blitzo muttered. The acid lakes are a classic tourist attraction. Loona, watching from her receptionist desk, rolled her eyes. Ignore him. We'll keep you alive, Professor. Mostly because Harry would be upset if we didn't. Mostly. Remus echoed, looking slightly concerned. Luna's joking, Harry assured him, though he added under his breath, I think. As Harry led his werewolf teacher toward the training room, excited to show off what he'd learned, Remus glanced back at the strange assortment of demons watching them, the protective Hellhound pretending not to care, the overenthusiastic imp already planning party games, the married imp couple preparing weapons for a demonstration that looked suspiciously combat-ready. Quite a family you found, Harry, he commented quietly. Harry looked back at them too, his expression warm and certain. Yeah. They're pretty great. And despite the oddity of it all, a human wizard child living in hell with demon assassins, Remus had to admit that Harry seemed happier, healthier, and more confident than he might have been under any other circumstances. Sometimes, he reflected as he followed Harry into the magically expanded training room, family came in the most unexpected forms. And in Harry Potter's case, that family now spanned two worlds, bound together by their shared love for a boy who had survived the worst of both and somehow found the best in each. Okay, Harry said eagerly, pulling out his wand. Watch this. Loona helped me practice. It's a combination of wizard magic and hell energy. As the young boy demonstrated a spell that made harmless green flames dance in intricate patterns above their heads, Remus understood what Dumbledore had meant about bridges between worlds. Harry wasn't just surviving in this strange situation, he was thriving, creating something new and unique from his extraordinary circumstances. Perhaps that, more than any prophecy, would ultimately be the boy who lives greatest magic. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.